And we are live. Good evening. Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. Yeah, good evening. Welcome to the stream. Just do a quick sound check, make sure that the sound is working and that you can actually see me. That would always be beneficial, although depending on your preferences, maybe sound only might be better. Skystalker says, looks good, sounds good, Mike. Awesome stuff. And nice to see a few of you in the chat already, waiting for me to unbox this case from Lian Li, the 216 8RGB in white, which actually was kindly sent to us over from the UK's kind of main supplier of Lian Li cases, and that is overclockers.co.uk. So we have to return their kindness, put a link in the video description, so if you want to check it out and check out pricing. Theirs appears to be possibly the cheapest at the moment here in the UK, so it's a win-win situation. We get a case to show you and you guys get a good deal on it, so excellent stuff. There's a couple of different versions as well. The one we're going to be looking at tonight is the addressable RGB one in white. There are also versions that are available with non-RGB, so if RGB isn't your thing, they have got you covered there, and there is a black version and a white version. So if you want a nice white case, then you can do. If you want a stealthy black one, that choice is also available as well. So, excellent stuff. Everything appears to be working. Who would have thought it? Right, so let's do some quick camera checks, make sure everything is in order. So we'll go over to our control box here, and so we're on the main camera. Let's try the overhead one. And you should be able to see me and my fingers. Hello! And you can see the keyboard. Finally got the UK keycaps for the Razer. Was it Death Adder? No, not Death Adder. I forget which one it is. For the mini Razer keyboard. Huntsman Mini, that was the one. So I finally got some UK keycaps so I can actually see what I'm doing, work things out. Thank you, William Bodie, for sending that over to us. Awesome stuff. Although, still stuck with my old Logitech mouse because well, I didn't prepare very well, as per usual. Let's go over and see if the desktop is working. So let's fire up a screen which is suitable, and hopefully you can see the desktop and also still hear me. Again, whether or not that is beneficial, that is down for you to work out. But there you go, there's the Lancool 216. We'll be taking a look at the site, going through some of the specs, and also I'm going to refer to it because this is the first time that I'm actually using this. So let's have a back to the main camera. So we'll minimize that because I don't need that in there anymore. So yeah, good to see some of you in the chat. Let's say some quick hellos, get the introductions out of the way. And if you're new here, this is the first time you've been here to Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To on a Saturday evening stream, then yeah, this is something that I attempt to do on a weekly basis, every week of the year. Last year we even did, I think it was Boxing Day or Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, because we're just dedicated. Actually, we're not. We're just sad and haven't got a life, so we don't go out anywhere. So this is basically it for us. This is our only means of communicating with the outside world. Help! We're trapped in this little tiny box in front of you. I digress. So, hello to Craig Lilly. Craig says, wow, the one I ordered is coming Monday. Way to spoil the surprise for me. Well, it's going to be a surprise for me as well, because literally, this thing is completely sealed in the box. I have not taken it out of the packaging. I received this earlier in the week, and I've had a bit of a sinus infection during the week, and all this pressure and headaches and stuff. You don't want to know about it, but essentially it's been, right, I don't really want to make videos. So I've literally left that to one side. Normally if I get a case, is straight away open it, see what it's all about, check it out, but just not felt like it this week, so yeah. It's been a what? Cat bed. Yeah, it's been a cat bed most of the week. So Lucky Man's with us. Lucky Man, bless you, sir. Lucky Man has been through some serious stuff over the last God knows how many months. Please spare a thought for Lucky Man. He's going through a lot of personal anguish at the moment, but besides that, he still feels that it's actually better to be with us on a Saturday evening than not. So maybe we're doing something right. Maybe it's just because we've got an awesome community of which you're all part of, and all of you are welcome to be in. We do like to try and help each other out and just bring everybody up a little bit. That's what it's all about. Mark Berry is with us. How you doing, Mark? Old Man Withers. How are you, sir? Lucky Man's actually been a member of YouTube, or our YouTube channel, for 10 months now, supporting the channel. He says good evening to one and all. And also, obviously, if you want to, you don't have to. Don't feel like in any way it's a kind of peer pressure thing. you don't have to be a member of the channel. You can still subscribe and get all of our videos. They all come out eventually. There isn't a single video that we've done which has been private to patrons or YouTube members. We don't keep any of our content behind a paywall. God knows, nobody would pay for it. But some of you are kind enough to support the channel, so we thank you all for doing that. Rick H is with us. Says, hi fellow mubs, hope everyone had a good week. Congratulations, Lucky Man 1, on being a member for 10 months. It sounds terrible, but you've got to have something to look forward to in life. So, yep, soon you'll be a member for 11 months. At 12 months, I'm not sure what happens. Well, actually, I think you get something.
A different colour.
Yeah, you get a different colour, maybe. Anyway, let's move on from that quickly. Rick H as well sent us the AM5 bracket, the secure mounting bracket, which, if any of you are eagle-eyed enough, or if the camera will focus, which I don't think it will, you can actually just about see it just behind the AIO in the system behind me. So we are currently testing that to see how it does. So we'll have some updates on that very shortly. So if any of you are considering an AM5 build and you want to secure your processor in a means that doesn't mean compressing the living daylights out of it, then you might find that video helpful, and also you might find that it's actually quite cheap. In order to mount a processor effectively and not get it covered in goo every time, costs about £10, so it's worth doing. Joe G's with us, says hello everybody. Welsh Tony, how you doing Welsh Tony? Not seen you for a while. Good to see you in the chat. And Skystalker also, good to see you as well. Hopefully you're doing okay and Canada isn't its usual absolute freezing self at the moment. Although saying that, it's getting colder here, and apparently we have what is known as a, actually I've got to remember now, is it an SSW? No. Yes, sudden stratospheric warming. That's normally what happens when I pass gas. I get sudden stratospheric warming in my undercrackers. But no, this is a weather term apparently. And to have sudden stratospheric warming means basically you get weather. Weather which is not normal weather. You get slightly different weather. So we are expecting a dousing of the white stuff. And I don't mean Columbia marching powder, I mean snow. Arguably both are kind of the same thing. But we will be getting some snow, hopefully, which will be awesome. We haven't had snow in Bristol for quite a while now. So it'll be nice to see a nice big lashing of snow. And yeah, that is part and parcel of it. In fact, almost exactly 5 years ago to the day, there was a video of young Catherine, my better half, actually hula hooping, because she's... Anyway, she was hula hooping in the snow on, I think it was March the 9th or something, 5 years ago. There is a video up on it, so if you search on our channel, look at the back catalogue and just type in snow or hula hoop. I've done hula hoop video as well, so you might see that as well. But yeah, if you want to see what Kath looks like, if you want to see a face reveal, actually a full torso reveal of Kath in the snow.
But my hair doesn't usually stick out over my ears.
Like yeah, she's got something stupid going on with her hair, it's like popping out. I don't know. You'd have to check it out for yourselves. And if you go to the video, just say it's 5 years later and come to see this video. We'd like to see that. So yeah, it's not unusual to have snow in March. I think actually about 5 years previous to that, again, when I was working in the centre of Bristol, we had really bad snow and I had my BMW convertible and it was so much fun in the snow. Put it into snow mode, add a little thing on the gearbox, press it and it goes into snow mode. And I was just driving around like a lunatic, spinning it out, just going around in circles. It was excellent, great fun. Don't drive like that though, it's bad. Only do that on private property, which I did, honest. Alright, so Craig, what else have we said to? Shearer69, how you doing Shearer69? Good evening to you. G-Zone Gamer as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome all. Welly Bob's with us. How you doing, Welly Bob? And good old Aletta, the the geriatric female vampire. Am I allowed to say that? What is a geriatric anyway?
Old person.
Ah, sorry. Hello world, nice to see you. My name is Aletta. I am a Gemini, born in the year of the dog, and my spirit animal is roadkill.
Only Aletta.
Only Aletta could welcome herself in that particular way. God bless you. Stuart Cleary says, good evening all. That case looks great. I like white builds with light blue lighting. Okay. We'll see what we can do. A letter being typically a letter, a Lian Li Lancool 216 looks like your typical rectangle box to me. Bah humbug. Rick says, I love highway #2. The yellow line yummies. Excellent. As long as it's still got a pulse, eh? Mookie MC says, hello friends and neighbours. How you doing? Ordinary Dude's with us. How you doing, dude? Mark Barry as well. Matthew Day says, time to make blood sacrifices to the PC gods. Hopefully not. Antonio's with us as well. Says, hi everyone. How you doing, Antonio? Nick Barnes with us. Greetings, sir. And Glenn's with us as well. Patrick LaBelle says, hope you all had a good day. My back has been absolutely killing today. I don't know what it is. There's a very, very weird thing. Like, you guys know me. I'm 100% all in on conspiracy theories. Like, I am on them. I love them. They fascinate me. Conspiracy theory that happened to us yesterday. Me and Kath both woke up today with our lower back.
Yesterday, me and Kath both woke up today.
Both woke up, yeah. You know, we both woke up and both of us got really, really bad backs. Like,
But not bad back, not as got.
as if something's been, like, done to your back. Not to your back passage. We haven't been taken away by the aliens and had anal probes. That's not been a thing. At least I don't think so. My poop was completely normal today and I didn't have any...
Too far up
Yeah,
for that.
I didn't have any kind of strange antennas or anything coming out my backside this morning, so...
I think Daisy's got something strange going on.
So, anyway, yeah. Moving on. So we both got really bad backs for no reason at all. Like, it was not as if we did anything out of the ordinary yesterday. There was no hanky-panky business late at night, which, if you get to our age, can do damage to your organs and also your muscles. But no, none of that. So why did we both have a bad back in exactly the same place at the same time? I have no idea. If you've got any...
Absolutely fine yesterday.
Yeah, both of us are absolutely fine. And we were both well rested. We both had a bit of a lie-in, and sometimes I get a bad back if I spend too long in bed. It happens. But it was just a really weird one. It's like, wow, why have we both got this at the same time? Very strange indeed. So we're blaming it on all sorts of things, whether it's microwave radiation, 5G, 3G, 4G, anything like that. It's bound to be one of them.
Wi-Fi.
Possibly Wi-Fi. You never know. Or it could be that they're putting contaminants in our food that we ate last night. We both had a steak and chips for tea last night. So maybe the steak was from a radioactive cow. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Dom's with us. How you doing, Dom? Nicholas Barlow as well. Mookie Masibi said. Stuart Cleary. I think we're pretty much getting up to date. David Underhill as well. How you doing, David Underhill? Ultimate Tech Hub. Good old Mike. How you doing, Mikey? Awesome stuff. Glad to see you all in the chat. RK says, Mike, you need to release pressure. I do. Time for a new bed? Yeah. Maybe your bed is bad. Well, the thing is, we sleep in it every night, and we have been for ages, but it's weird how suddenly just both of us, right in the kind of the small of your back, I think they call it. Oh, it's absolutely killing today.
And the cats weren't even up there, were they, really?
Yeah. No cat integration or anything like that. It was nothing, yeah.
For once.
Ooh. Dutch Jans with us says, had root canal treatment yesterday, so have a bad day. Oh dear, root canal. Oof. Not good. RK says, Mike, stop sleeping, start doing. Well, I should do, really. But I am a typical Taurian. Stubborn and lazy. With most of the laziness. Yeah. Eh?
Times two.
Times two, yeah. Kath's a Taurian as well, so yeah. We're both stubborn, lazy bastards. Anyway, moving on. So, Mick Woods with us. Hi all, good to be here. How you doing, Mick? David Underhill says, what a strange concept, sleeping in the same bed every night. I know. The cats as well, sometimes. Right, okay, so... Right, so we're going to have a look at the case now. Like I said, this has been sent to us free of charge for review purposes from our good friends over at overclockers.co.uk. Links in the video description, etc. If you want to buy one, buy one. If you don't want to buy one, don't. If you want to buy it from Amazon, do whatever you like. I don't care. I really don't. Although, if you're using Amazon, do or use our affiliate links.
If Ugly Bob came in now, he'd be you were at number 69.
Oh no, it says 69 already.
Oh, does
He's
it?
missed
It
it.
says 68 on mine.
He's missed it.
He's missed his chance at 69.
Mookie MC says, if Mike and Kath sleep in the same bed, I say it's mattress problems. You cheeky bastard.
He's the hippo, I'm the duck.
Yeah, it is like the Silent Night advert. I'm the hippo and she's the little duck.
Every time he rolls over, I go flying up and hit the ceiling.
Stubborn and lazy sounds like the requirement for being a politician. Yeah, I'm not that good at lying.
We think a little bit more than that.
Yeah, we are critical thinkers as well. Right, let's have a... let's have a look at the case first of all. So let's head over to the website for Lian Li. Just have a quick overview of what's going on so we can discuss it a little bit more. So there hopefully is the desktop feed, and oh, I've left the bloody thing on again, haven't I? Let's go back to the main and close that down. I need to find a way of closing that off easier without having to press a button. I wish I could map that button, the clear button, to my Stream Deck. That would be awesome. Is it gone? Yes, it has. Excellent. Right. Let's go back to the desktop. Right, so Lancool 216. So effectively, for those of you that remember the Lancool 215, one of my personal favourites, very similar to the GameMax F15 mesh. So that had two 200mm fans up front. They've changed it a little bit. So we've got slightly better fans now. We've got two 160mm fans, either PWM and RGB, if you go for the RGB version or not. For some reason, they haven't put an RGB one in the back, which offends me deeply, but it is what it is, I suppose. So you've got a rear PCI Express fan bracket as well, which is new, so that goes on the back here. And you've got front I/O, which can be moved. So normally it's on the top here, and you can move it to this section on the side. You can also get an add-on card or section, which is an RGB controller and a couple more USB ports, which can fit in there if you want to go with that. We've also got it available in white. That's the version we've got. So you've got extra ventilation down the side should you want it. I don't really see the point in that, but it's there. Overall, just a kind of nice case. It's got some pretty sleek lines. It kind of is what it is. So airflow focused. It isn't like your typical Lian Li kind of glass boxes. So we've got plenty of mesh on the front, we've got plenty of mesh on the side, and plenty of mesh on the top. And hexagonal mesh pretty much everywhere else where there isn't this fine pinhole mesh. There's a video you can go to on their site, and there's the three versions. So you've got the white version, the black version, which actually looks a little bit bigger, and you've got the black version with the standard fans, not RGB. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it. We'll go through most of this in here anyway. It talks about the built-in fan controller, water cooling mode or air cooling mode, so you can physically move the motherboard tray up and down. So if you put it in the down position, that is the standard orientation, giving you plenty of room for radiators. Sorry, that's that side. So that is in water cooling mode, or if you put it in air. Actually, they've done that wrong, haven't they? So air cooling mode, they've actually got the radiator in there as well, because they've got the extra fans at the bottom there. Anyway, it's got two modes. You can switch between the two. Yes, Kath?
Jay Gordon said, or ARGB question mark, whatever that means.
ARGB? Yeah, addressable RGB. So you can individually address the RGB lights on the fans, rather than RGB, which is just red, green, or blue all over. So yeah, front can be relocated, etc. Takes up to E-ATX. You can move the inside around. Takes massive graphics cards, and nice and easy to get to the top. But we'll be seeing that shortly. So let's go back over to our main camera. We've had a super chat come in from good old O'Reilly. £20 there. It says, ooh, Lian Li case, extra £10. And sorry for being late, was watching Formula 1 highlights on Channel 4. No worries, buddy, and thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Okay, so let's get on with it and take this thing out of the case. Like I said, I have not touched this at all, so it's completely brand new, sealed in the box. I've got no idea what condition it's in, whether it's damaged or whatever. The reason I say that is because there is a little bit of a ding in the side of the box, which I will attempt to show you. I'm not sure if that is going to fit on the screen, but there we go, there's a little bit of a ding going on there. Hopefully you can just about see that. It is quite a big case actually. So this is, it comes in like a plain box. As you can see, this has come from the distributor Overclockers UK. Lancool 216 RV, so that's RGB and white. And that is pretty much it. Doesn't say a great deal else on the box, which is a little bit of excitement. As you can tell, I don't get out very much. Let's try and get this thing open. Ultimate Tech Hub's birthday next Friday. Michael, how old or how young are you going to be? I know it's rude to ask those questions, but I don't care. It's my channel, I can ask what I like. I'm going to. Let's go to the overhead briefly. I'm not sure if you can actually see this, because the camera is going to be super focused in, but there is a box up here, and it has got a white thing on it, so that means that our accessories hopefully are going to be white color coded. So there we go, there's our accessories box. I'm not sure what of that you can actually see, because the camera is literally kind of slap bang against it. So we've got the white bracket which goes on the back. We've also got a very cool little box there with all your screws and fittings, some extra bars, bits and pieces there, bracketations. What else is in here? Guess how old? I would say 42.
More.
I would say 45. 46.
Yes.
Oh, for God's sake, come on, this is going on date.
53.
53. Congratulations on surviving 50 and making your way to 53, Michael. Well done, sir. That's all that good weather out there in the desert. And having a swimming pool. You lucky duck. Right, let's try and get this thing out now without breaking anything. Top tip, if you've got a case and you're taking it out of the box, I'm not sure if you can actually physically see me doing this. Oh, you can, yeah. Awesome. So, yeah, these bits here, pull those out and rip them off, because that will stop the case coming out. So you're getting top tips here as well. So do the same on that side. The grab handles stop the foam coming out. There you go. You can tell all your friends now. Tell both of them. Try not to destroy the camera.
Mike's going to be in the Bahamas for birthday week.
Very nice, Michael. Let's try and get myself electrocuted now. Ow, bastard! Sorry. Of course, if I was wearing an earthing strap, that wouldn't have happened. But then if I was wearing earthing strap, I'd have had to have a very strong word with myself. Yeah. I can't wear an earthing strap because both my parents were married. Oh dear. Sorry, I crack myself up at times. Kath's laughing away. She found it hilarious. Mind you, she finds most of the things I say hilarious for some reason.
They hated that, didn't they?
And they did. Right, let's put some pants or something on top of the box to keep that safe. And there we go. I've just realised this case is actually quite big. It might not fit in the camera. Ow! Damn it! Another ow! Multiple electric shocks off this case. Oh. Okay. There is a lot of static in here. So there we go. There is the Lian Li 216. I've got to be honest with you, the white is very, very white. It's, you probably can't tell in this lighting, but it's almost got a bluish hue to it, I think. Both my eyes are useless, so I'm a bit colourblind, but yeah, there's definitely, I would say well actually you can see on camera as yourself. If you look at the white on this and then look at the white on the one on the background, clearly that has slightly yellowed in the month or so we've had it, I would guess. All white things do. It is one of those things. But it does have that very...
It's like 50 shades of white in there, actually.
If this... Yeah, it is. This is like with a car. There's certain shades of white which have got a little bit more blue in it. And there's some which have got more kind of like a creamy type kind of white. This is definitely like a very kind of white blue, maybe going into the kind of If it was a color temperature, this would be like 57K. Rather, like daylight is a little bit less than that, and it goes redder as you go to like 2700K is kind of amber. So yeah, I'm not explaining myself very well. So nice pinhole mesh. I was concerned actually that the mesh on the front was going to be too fine, but the good thing of this is you can use this as a filter and not have an additional filter on the inside, so you don't have two filters kind of impeding your airflow, which is kind of nice. Got a nice little Lian Li logo on the bottom there, and I'm assuming there's going to be a grab handle. Yep. Ooh, that sounded not very nice. So on the metal mesh, actually quite sturdy. The plastic is very weak and flimsy, but the actual mesh itself seems like really rigid, which is bizarre. And also it does unscrew as well, so potentially you could do modifications if you wanted to paint this for yourself or something. So yeah, that's can't really complain too much. Yeah, airflow seems to go through those holes pretty nicely. The grab handle at the bottom looks a little something like that, which you can see. There's such a delay on the stream, on the live thing I can see in the studio. It's very distracting. So on the side, got the cutout there, so you can move the I/O, which is currently set to the top position. So you can unscrew that. Actually feels a bit loose already. This might be screwdriver time straight away. That is something which, yeah, those screws are a little bit loose. That is something which I've always found with Lian Li products of the last probably 20 years. When Lian Li first started out, back in the mid-90s, I believe it was, their stuff was absolutely like engineered to death. Very, very well made, very strong, very rigid. You'd never find a panel gap or anything like that. It was just craftsmanship. Now clearly at some point along their company history, they've kind of looked at things and said, right, our cases are expensive, where can we cut costs? And definitely there is a fit and finish thing or issue with Lian Li cases, in my opinion. Not all of them, some of them are done particularly well, but I think some of the newer ones, the Lancool 3, the 216, and possibly the 215, I would say all had very slight issues with their fit and finish and panel gaps and things like that, which is not something you'd expect for a premium case. But that is where this actually stands out, because even though it is a Lian Li case, and Lian Li are a kind of premium brand, it doesn't come with a premium price tag. You're looking at roughly about £115 for this with the addressable RGB fans, which I've just noticed actually, and they are amazing. You can get it a little bit cheaper if you go for the non-RGB. I think it's 104 possibly. Links in the video description. Check them out. Obviously, pricing is going to be different wherever you live. I often get as well, people reply to videos saying if the links on your video, the prices are really expensive. If they are, obviously don't buy it. Have a search around, just copy and paste it and search yourself. You'll probably find if you search around locally, you'll find them considerably cheaper. So yeah, definitely do that. But I think for £100-ish, give or take, this is actually a lot of case for the money. And the practicality of this is actually, I'm planning on this being my new daily driver. So not for the PC behind me, that's in Thermaltake, but for my video editing PC, which is currently down there, this is going to be hopefully perfect. The case I've got at the moment is the Colink Citadel Mesh, the ATX version, which is a very, very nice case, but there are some things about it which I feel this does better, and bizarrely they're the same price, give or take a few pounds. So between the two, there's not a great deal. The thing which appeals to me with this is the fact that I can put a 360 radiator in the top or the front very, very easily. Whereas with the Colink, putting a 360 in the top is a little bit challenging to say the least. And this does have a little bit more width, which is unfortunate because where it's going to fit on my little computer desk over there, but the extra width does give you the extra flexibility. Primarily 140mm fan in the rear, whereas in that one I think it's a 120 if I remember rightly. But yeah, just more room and potential for vertical mounting a GPU a slight bit further back, which I think is awesome. And I can't see my screen there. Who's that from? Mick Woods, £10. Thank you very much, sir. It says, thanks, the best live streams on YouTube. If only that were true, Mick, but thank you very much for saying that. It's exceptionally kind of you. However, misguided. I'm only joking. Thank you very much. We do try. Well, I don't really try. I'm just me. This is who I am. Ask Kath, she'll say, this is me. I'm not doing anything different, really. Right, where should we start with? So, obviously on this side section, there is all this mesh. Actually, that looks like that hasn't been painted very well. Is that looking like it's yours? Is that a shadow? I can't tell. I might need to take it off. That looks like it's faded, or something's gone wrong with it. Can you see that on camera? Can I see it on camera? Yeah. Is there something behind it? I don't think so. It looks like it's surfaced. Is it dust or dirt or something? Shouldn't be. It's brand spanking new. So that is potentially the kind of thing I'm talking about with Lian Li. So, can you see that, Kath? Was it my eyes? Does that look discoloured there?
It was a little bit, but when I was down by the fire, it's like as if it's getting light from the back.
It could be. I'm gonna take that side panel off. Now, in order to take the side panel off, this is actually very cool. So there is one captive screw, I believe, here, which is done up very tight. And with that undone, I think we can just pull the glass out. Yes, that's right. So there's little poppers at the top here, which meet up with those. Like the Corsair 4000 series, it's exactly the same deal. Nice that they've done white trim around the side of the glass. So when you actually take the side panel off and you hold it with your fingers like you do, the greasy marks are going to be easy to remove and keep clean. So that's pretty cool. And I think that is 4mm thick. Looks like 4mm thick. Nice panel. No complaints with that. Looking inside, yeah, that definitely looks like there is something there. It does say on the side of this panel, I think, don't remove it because it supports the glass, because it does. There's a little channel there, there and there, which the glass panel goes into. So let's take this off and have a closer look. Not having a hinge door, yeah, that is regrettable. I do like to see a hinge door, to be fair.
Ken Stemmen said this would give the Corsair 4000D airflow some competition.
Right, there's the side grille ventilation section, and it does appear that there is certainly some discoloration there, I would say. Again, I'm not sure how well this is coming off on camera. Try and get the... Yeah, there you go. You just about to see it on that angle. A little bit patchy, just here. Obviously, yeah, you'd be very hard pressed to notice it from most angles, but for some reason, that did stick out. That is obviously something, when you have a white case, minor imperfections do stand out, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. It does fit in there nice, considering actually that is literally just mesh, kind of rounded around. That is pretty good how it fits in the side. Let me show you that again. It's quite heavy actually. So you've got 3 little channels there, and those go into their respective sections there. Pop that in and then slide it forward and it locks into place, and it's in there pretty decently. Now I have got some experience with that because we've got the same with the Thermaltake case behind me, and I would say this possibly has been pulled off a little bit better, I would argue. But again, the Thermaltake does have the open close side panel, which is pretty darn cool.
Try wiping with damp cloth or alcohol.
That's a good... I don't think it's dirt. I think it's actually where it's been in like the spray booth and they've just missed a bit when they've gone over, or there's maybe a blockage in the nozzle or something. I'm not sure. It doesn't appear to be dirt. I will give it a go actually. I'll try that with some alcohol and some cloth.
Tony asked no filter for that side panel grill.
No, the side panel grill is kind of its own filter because we've got this very tight micro mesh. It kind of doubles up, so it's not going to stop the really, really small particles. Those are going to come through anyway, and realistically, even if you've got a filter, it will stop most of them, but not all of them. The Corsair 4000 series, 5000 series, any of those, they've got that really tight nylon mesh. even those you still end up getting dust inside. So I don't know why you'd want airflow on the bottom, to be fair. If you have this in an airflow focused manner by having fans mounted on the bottom, then I guess it would make sense, because then you can pull in air from the side. The fans are pulling in from the front, so it's just another airflow path, but I don't think it's really necessary. And actually, personally, I would say, let me know what you think about this in the comments. Would you prefer for this to be solid metal, or would you prefer it to be the mesh? Assuming the mesh was painted properly. Flame, what are you doing in there now?
Nick says, "Job for you tomorrow, spray white."
I am going to take it to work tomorrow and actually work out what colour it is and give it a quick blast over with. It looks to me like it's Ford Arctic White.
Somebody said it's Manta. No, Opal Man. What are they called?
Opal Manta?
Yeah,
Opal Manta White, yeah.
if you could remember these.
So I'm giving that. It doesn't appear. This is.
I don't even sound right now, Manta.
No, if anything, that potentially has made it worse from my angle. It does. I think that's what it is. It's the angle that it's been sprayed on has done that. Again, it's a ridiculously small, picky thing, but I couldn't not say it, because I know someone out there is going to say, Mike, you massive shill. Overclockers have sent you this case in. You've not mentioned the fact that it's not been painted properly. Now, it could potentially be the reason why they've sent it, because it is like a review sample. So we've got a review sample, and your sample should be perfect. But this is the way I've got it. They haven't said that. They haven't said it's a review sample. They've just said, we've sent you it, and see what you think of it. So that's what I'm doing.
Adam says, when the case is lit up, will you see all the cable mess?
When the case is lit up, if you have RGB in the bottom, there is a distinct chance you will see cabling through there. No, on the Thermaltake one, they've got a backing behind it, which you can't actually see at the moment. So let's move that around. Hopefully you can see that now. Yeah, so there, you've got the same thing there. If I undo these. So this has got a mesh behind it, and it's got the holes there, but the mesh on top of that, and there is a Corsair power supply in there at the moment, which is a dark black one, and you've got a cable right there, and you can't really tell anything's there. I can't anyway. But potentially, if you've got very strong lighting in there, you might be able to see what's going on. That is actually a concern. And looking on this angle from here, I can see kind of straight through into the basement. So again, depending on your lighting, that might be a thing where you have to consider what your cabling is like. Which, yeah, again, is another one of those things. I personally, like I said, I think I would have preferred that to have been a solid panel. I think that might have been the better way to go. Yes, Kath?
They all said you made it look worse by cleaning it.
Right.
And,
yeah, I think it has taken a layer of the paint off, but that was only alcohol wipe, so it shouldn't have really done anything. I think it might be the angle. Are they related to the case?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Left lower panel might be good for some airflow around spinning hard drives if there's a cage at the bottom.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, having that will benefit airflow for hard drives, although they are becoming a little bit less popular these days.
What are the fans they provide?
Right, the fans that they provide, the rear one is just a standard white 140mm PWM. I'm not sure the model number. Doesn't say on there that I can see, obviously, so I'll unscrew it and we'll have a look.
How much is the case worth? Because anything sub 100, I would expect some cosmetic errors.
The case is worth approximately £100 in the UK at the moment. Now, all cases in the UK at the moment are about 20% dearer than what they should be, or at least they have been, due to shipping costs, inflation, etc., all that usual nonsense. So it's hard to say how much the case would have been normally. I feel that this is probably worth the money, looking at what is going on in it. And the fan actually doesn't have any markings on it whatsoever. I can spin that around. What's the matter?
William's saying there's some extra weird noise.
Oh, that's the fan, the heater. If it's clicking, it's the fireplace.
Everyone's saying there's not. But
All right.
headset, I suppose.
The Lian Li fan, so it doesn't have, you can see there's no markings on it whatsoever. So I don't know exactly what model it is. It might say in the link. So if you have a look in the links for the video, you may find the answer there. But I think personally, I'm probably going to end up swapping it out for an RGB one. It's a shame. And to be honest with you, where it is on my desk, it's never going to be seen anyway. But I still do kind of like the idea of having a 140 there. Now, some people have said, I have noticed already, because I've done a little bit of research on this case, is the fact that not all 140mm fans will fit in here. It is quite a tight tolerance. So just because it says it fits a 140mm fan, don't take that as kind of gospel that any 140 fan will fit. I would certainly do a little bit more research, or if there is a specific fan that you're wanting to put in here, and I have access to it, or can get access to it, please let me know, comment section, or email me, whatever, and I will try and do test fits for whatever fans or products that you have in mind, as long as obviously I've got them. Worst case scenario, I can just get measurements and do some physical measurements and see what the deal is there.
Ruki's asked, is there USB-C on the front panel, or have you not covered that yet?
I've not covered the front panel yet. Actually, we could do that because we have got the front panel off here. I know the IO's in there, isn't it? That doesn't work out very well. Something which apparently this does do, which I've not seen yet, is you do get the option for vertical mounting. So while we're in this neck of the woods anyway, let's undo these 4 screws. And actually something else I've noticed on here, which is actually quite a cool thing, because it's a white case, they've not used any black screws that I can see. All the screws appear to be silver or chrome. So if you are planning on an ultra white build, even the screws are chromed, which obviously they look white because aluminium kind of fades into it. So with this section here, so there is your rear PCI Express mounting bracket, and I'm guessing the theory is you just rotate it. But I don't kind of know how that happens. I haven't got that far into it yet. I'm guessing there's something along those lines. Where's the screw holes match up? No, it would be that way around, wouldn't it? Ah, there we go. So some of them will be blanked off. Where's the screw holes? See? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so that fits in there pretty snugly. Not the most elegant way of doing it. It's a little bit fiddly.
What's the vertical one in the box?
No, the one that goes on the back is in the box. This is supposed to be just a rotatable one. So more homework required
In
there.
that other box.
Eh?
In that box under there.
Yeah.
You've looked in there.
Oh, in this one? I don't think there's anything in there.
What about in that box though?
Yeah, we've had a look in there, haven't we?
Have you?
Yeah. So there is a mounting plate. And maybe that bracket is something to do with it. I need to look through the instructions. This is just an unboxing. We're going to go through some of the pros and cons of this. This is the fan mount. So this goes on the back. So you attach that there. And then you can put a 120mm fan in there to pull air through from your graphics card. A little bit gimmicky. It's going to work with some graphics cards. It's not going to work with others, depending on what kind of graphics card you have. Because obviously not all graphics cards ventilate in the same way. So yeah, it's a little bit gimmicky. It's nice they put it in there, although it does make you wonder that if they didn't include that, but they then had the money to give you an addressable RGB fan on the back, that might have been the better way forward for probably all buyers of this case. I can't imagine anybody really using that on the back, other than if you've had the PC built for you by a company and it's been a factory assembled, or you've gone to like some sort of boutique place and said, can you build me this PC? They might do it purely because it's there and they can't be bothered to put it back in the box, or for whatever reason.
Oh, other than showing off the GPU fans, is there any advantage to mounting the GPU in the vertical direction?
The only advantage for the vertical direction in some instances is if you've got a modern graphics card such as a 4080 or 4090, they're ridiculously wide. So you can have it where sometimes the graphics card is physically too wide to fit in there without some modification. So having the option of turning the graphics card round upwards, so then the height or the width of the card can then go up rather than out, gives you a bit more room inside. Well, again, most people, I guess if you're spending around about £100 on a case, you might not be going for that kind of level of graphics card, but they are in general getting bigger, so yeah, it might well be useful.
Jamie Roseman has got the Lian Li 215. It's been hard trying not to buy this one.
The 215 is a great case. CAF's still using it to this day. I would be using it if
I didn't use it.
If CAF didn't have it, basically, yeah. So the top panel was actually quite an interesting one. So that just... Top panel, again, we've got more of this mesh. Fortunately, this has been painted properly. Sorry. You've got rails on the side, or lugs on the side, which fit into the top there. Again, nice mesh, so you don't have to worry about... If you've got a radiator, you're still going to have plenty of airflow going through there. If you're not using a radiator and you want more airflow, on a lot of cases you'd end up just taking the filter, the removable filter, taking it off and just leaving it somewhere. Whereas with this, yeah, the airflow is pretty reasonable there, so I would not worry too much about dust getting in and not worry much about air getting out. 2 thumb screws on the back to hold it in place. And then we can take off the back panel. Now the back panel doesn't have any screws at all. Literally it's a matter of just pushing it out. So it unclips, same as the front did. So we've got those little pop panels, there, and there, there, and there, and little ledges at the bottom, which fit into those there. Let's put that to one side. Back panel's been painted correctly. Nice to see. So we've got quite a bit going on here. We have got a addressable RGB controller. We have also got some really cool cable management going on. Lots of zip ties and tie downs, and got some more drive. God damn it, that's tight.
Jamie Roseman debating on getting the black 200mm Noctua fans to replace the stock 200 eventually. That's for my case.
Won't do it. They won't fit. The Noctua 200mm fans do not fit. They basically don't fit anything. I've not found a case yet that they will physically fit, that say they will fit a 200mm, and I've tried at least 4 or 5 cases now. Right, what else we got? So this section here, got this panel here, more tie down points. There is an additional piece of metal in here, which I believe is also for that, or is that for the front? Maybe that's for the front, I don't know. Where would that go in here? Nowhere. Doesn't physically fit in there. Is it a blanking plate for the front? No, that's not wide enough. Don't know. Might have to read the instructions on that one. Velcro, Velcro, Velcro. Good stuff. The fan controller.
Do you want to know?
What's that?
Colin Hilton has said the thin white metal strip screws to the motherboard with standoffs to support the heavy GPUs.
Thank you very much. I might actually need
Colin
that.
Hilton.
Thank you, Colin, for that information. So this little bundle of wires here is for our addressable RGB controller, which we're definitely going to have to fire up in a minute and see what it's like. So this, actually they're quite nice and long. That's handy. So in order to power the lighting and the fans, there is a single SATA connector, nicely blacked out all the way through. There is a PWM header and also the 3-pin 5V addressable RGB. So connect up those 3 to your motherboard, or those 2 to the motherboard, that one to your power supply, and that's it for the fans. You don't have to do anything else. So if you do want a nice easy life, that is certainly a way of doing it. There is an option for, let me see, 1, 2, I think it's 5 fans you can attach to here. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nope, 6 fans. So you can have 6 fans on this hub. And in terms of addressable RGB, there is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 outputs for addressable RGB, which obviously if you want to, you can split those off anyway. So yeah, that's not a bad little hub, to be fair. They could have done it a lot worse. And I'm just seeing if the fans look like they're daisy chained already. So the 2 fans on the front are only using 1 header. Now there was something I did hear about, that the fans actually have 2 lots of RGB, so inner and outer. But I'm not entirely sure how that works. And judging by the cabling, it doesn't seem to make a difference in terms of connectivity. They all seem to connect into the same place, strangely. And also they seem to have put the fan, they plugged in one of the front fans towards the back. So I'm going to plug that towards the front. Ah, I see what, right. This likely is going to be what the deal is. So most fan controllers will go with the speed signal on fan header number 1. So that is probably why they've connected that on the end. Because the logical thing would be to connect up your fans as close together towards the front if they're front fans, and the rear fans to the rear. But they haven't. They've done it so that it's connected on the back. So I'm going to be almost 100% certain that the fan speed control is going to be done from fan header 1, which is often the case. Yeah, which is also a bit unfortunate because you've got 160mm on the front and you've got 140mm on the back. So it's going to take the PWM readings from that and apply it to that. So it's going to be slightly wrong. But then the Lancool 215 did exactly the same, and the GameMax does as well. So it's not unusual, but it is something that was done. Yes, Kath?
Will you review the Montech Air 100 ARGB case?
I have asked Montech for the 100 Air RGB case, and yeah, David.
Just David.
Ah, David. Hi, David. I would love to, but unfortunately I've got in touch with them and they are not willing to send me one at present. So whether I've upset them in the past, potentially I might have done, I don't know, but they said no, basically. So that is from Montech's kind of intermediary. There's a couple of companies which deal with all sorts of other companies, and the company that I've reached out to for that, which they have sent us Montech stuff before. They sent us the MT24 cooler, some fans, etc. We've had other stuff from them, but I asked for the case and they said no, we can't at the moment, sorry. So I don't know. Maybe they don't like me. I don't know. I will get around to doing it at some point, hopefully. Moving on, right, so the rest of the cable management here, we've got all these loops, etc. So you've got really nice long cables. This is something I do like to see for your front panel headers and all that kind of stuff. And something which Lian Li have done here, which I think is an absolute blessing. And I really, really wish that all companies would do this. And I will show you now because this is most impressive. They have a single block connector for the front panel for your reset switch and your power button. Now there's only 2 things going in there anyway, so they didn't really need to do it. But the fact that they've done it into one single block connector, so you can just plug that in, which is a lot easier to do, especially for those of us who are less dexterous, hard for me to say, that is good. I do like to see that. So congratulations there. You've also got a HD audio. So actually been sleeved pretty much up to the end, so I won't give them too many bad marks for having little bits of custard and metchup. Custard and metchup? That's like mustard and ketchup. Wow. USB 3 front panel connector. Mustard and...
No. Cat. I can't do it now.
Yeah, they should both work in the same... I digress.
Custard.
So, 2 USB 3.0 front panel header connectors, nicely thin cables, so for flexing. I do like that. If you've got a motherboard where the 3.0 connector points outward, that's going to be a lot easier for you to kind of bend the cables round rather than those thicker round cables like you get on this. So this is our Type C. So Mookie MC, I think it was earlier asked, is there a USB Type C front panel connector? Yes, there most certainly is. And I still don't 100% know if these USB Type C connectors are the same both sides. In theory, they should be, but I don't know if they are. No, I don't think they are. They are keyed, but you can physically put these in the wrong way, which is the stupidest thing ever. Why would you design a USB connection which can be put in around the wrong way? But it can be done. I've seen people where they've put these in and basically mashed their USB Type-C front panel connector, which, because of how it is on the motherboard, is almost impossible to remove. So if you short pins out, you've killed a motherboard. So USB Type-C is one of those formats which I would love to see go away altogether.
Talking about motherboards, O'Reilly asked any word on the Asus board?
No, still no word on the Asus board. Actually, I'm not sure. Is Marshmallow Cookie in the chat? No, he's been a bit quiet recently. But yeah, still waiting. Asus apparently have got the board or are getting the board sent to them. Still nothing. As much as I don't like to slag off companies, I think in this instance it is quite due. CCL, the company here in the UK which have been dealing with this, have been very, very lax. And I've got to the point, I used to always recommend CCL for their bargain section. The clearance stuff was excellent, very good value for money. But the way that we've been treated on this particular return has filled me with a lot of contempt for that company. And unfortunately, CCL are part of a group of companies. So you've got CCL, box.co.uk, and there's a couple of others that are all part of the same group. So it's quite likely, unless something dramatically happens and they change things, I cannot see us working with them as a company or recommending them, because this has just gone on way too long. Anyway, I'm digressing. So hard drive cages, got two hard drive cages down the bottom here. These, you can put 2.5-inch drives in either one. So that is also very good. And from what I can tell, you can actually mount them on the top and the bottom should you want to. Because of the way they're positioned, you could, I think, see if I can spin it around. So there is just about a gap on the bottom. So you could actually put maybe 4 drives in here, if they were quite new thin SSDs. You might get one on the bottom there. It's going to be tight, but you can do. The hard drive cage, I think, is toolless, yeah. So there's just a little lever on the bottom. I like that a lot. I am very, very happy with that. And I'm guessing you can take those apart as well. Can't see how, but there you can. So if you only want to use one, you can do. So those are kind of modular in some respects, and I guess that would be an easier way. Yeah, hopefully, can you see that now? You can see the gap on the bottom. So there is probably enough of a gap on there, so you can have a 3.5-inch drive on the top and a 2.5. Yeah, actually, because there is a couple of screws there. So I think you could. I think you could get a 2.5-inch drive on the bottom and a 3.5 on the top, or again another 2.5 if you wanted to. So potentially 4 SSDs or 2 SSDs and 2 hard disk drives. Nice caddies, they work really well. Taken out gives you a bit of room, and also it appears that you can actually move those around a little bit. So you can move them, there's about 1 inch or 2 if you wanted to. There's tons of room actually in the bottom, which is quite nice to see. We like to see a little bit of room to manoeuvre, although it seems a shame that they've gone to the trouble of doing everything white, but then they've gone with a black cage. I've only just noticed this. They've gone with a black cage and black wiring.
It is all at the back, isn't it?
It is in the back, but then the hard drive cage you can actually see from the front because of that mesh. So I've moved that back a little bit now so it clears the front. So if you're using a radiator in the front and it's a particularly chunky boy, you can move the drive cage back a little bit to give you more room here for your radiator to dip down into that crevice, so to speak. Crevice, what a great word that is.
Name said they had a fussy return with box last year. They offered me £20 voucher to amend my review. No thanks.
Yeah, they I don't know what's going on there. I really don't. I know that all companies have problems at times with certain aspects of their business. But CCL, even through the COVID era, when everything was a little bit shit-shaped, to be fair, everything went to pot. But CCL was one of those companies where they seemed to really kind of almost thrive on the whole fear part of it, and it's like any option they could is like, oh, we're closing down, or this isn't open, our showroom's closed because of COVID restrictions, where like everybody else in the UK was open. It's like, what are you doing?
Like Tesco credit card.
Yeah.
I think they've taken it off now.
Grey rubber pass-throughs there. They're nice. Mounting section there for other controllers. That, I guess, would be great for Lian Li's own USB controller. So if you're putting the Lian Li, what's the fans they do where they slot together? I can't think what the name of them is now. But if you're using those fans, their controller, awesome, put it there. You also, like I said, you've got another 2 SSD trays there, caddies. So potentially 6 drives. So if you're into your video editing and stuff and you've got a lot of storage, then this might be just the ticket, really. I think that is it for the back side. I think that's probably quite an interesting setup as well. Nice clean layout. So back to the fans. So there are 2 thumb screws. Yes, Kath?
On the subject of fans, PC 2022, for this case, how will 3 times 120mm look in the front?
Now that is a very, very good question. I'm extremely glad you've asked it.
Is there a wide gap or look weird or anything?
No, they've actually done a very cool thing. So this whole front cage comes out. There's 6 screws, I think it is. Again, chrome coloured screws, so as not to upset the apple cart in terms of colouring.
Lian Li Unifans.
Unifans, thank you, that was it. Unifans.
A-L or F-L.
Bless you.
Or A-I.
So undo those 6 screws, and in theory this whole thing just pops out, which as you can see it does, but although they've cable managed it in, so there isn't a great deal of slack here to actually, well actually they've done that very tightly in there. Can I loosen that off? Yeah, let me loosen that off. Sorry, I am just going to disconnect all these fans a moment. I'll try to. So that one there, that one there, and that one there. There, there, and there.
Netta says you need magnetic fingers.
Yeah, need something.
And Rick 8 has just got Wreckfest.
Well done, Rick. We do like Wreckfest. Wreckfest is awesome. It's a great game. Right. God, they've cable managed these in to be very clean looking, but that's not helpful when you want to actually take them out. God, that is in there tight. And their cable management bar sucks. I suppose you're really not going to be taking this out on any regular kind of thing. So I've actually just bent that bar now. So the cable management bar at the back is a good idea, but it's a little bit of a pain also. Anyway, so if you're saying so, I'll stop saying it. The fans are mounted in this frame. So as you can see, the fans themselves aren't impeded in any way, shape or form by the metal bracket. So if you undo the bracket, undo the screws, there's actually little holes all around there. So you can actually move it in. So 160mm on the outer edge, 140s on the next one in, or 120s on the next one in. So you can do 2 160s. I think you might be able to do 3 140s. And you can definitely do 3 120s. I do need to check that actually. Hello, James Miscellaneous says, this is a nice case, been eating while watching our hero. Are you watching another channel as well? Swine. Yeah, so that pretty much hopefully answers your question. So regardless of what fans you use, you have got the ultimate optimum of airflow, and the only real restrictions are the actual fan, what do they call them? The arms, the aperture arms. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little design, and the cables can go up the side of the channel when it's in there. So I think they've actually done this pretty well, and I actually, this is something I would like to see other manufacturers take on board. Some kind of means of changing that bracketry on the back. So if you have a radiator on there or whatever, then yeah, it's really nice and easy to do. And there's little legs at the bottom. Got hairy legs. These little legs go on the bottom and at the top, and then you just put your screws back through and the job's a good one, as they say. So yeah, it's pretty dang cool. I think they have done a very good job on this. They really have. I'm not just blowing smoke out their asses. Praise where praise is due. If someone does a good thing, obviously give them credit for it. That's what I say. Let's stick this in. I do like these screws. They're nicely done. They've actually put even put white grommets on there, or like washers. So that is an awkward place to get to, but I guess that's a very minor thing. The irony of you having thumb screws and using the screwdriver never fails to pass me by. I do like that. Right, where's my cup of tea? I'm going to have my cup of tea in a minute. Been jibber-jabbering on for too long. Now that screw doesn't like going in, so I'm going to loosen that one off and that one off, because I'm guessing that's not lined up quite right. Undo. That just needs a little bit more of persuasion. That is what they call an engineering fit. Basically, you've got to graunch the screw in. That is a downside, actually, of having like self-tapping screw threads. Once they wear out, you're pretty much knackered. So you do want to be a little bit careful with them. Anyway. Then the fans themselves, we haven't really touched on the fans at all. So the fans are PWM, RGB, and they've actually done it in such a way that the fan, yeah, you've got lighting around the outside edge, this outside circle, but also you've got center hub as well. So the lighting effect should be pretty spectacular. At least I'm hoping it will be. We'll find out very shortly. And I would like to do some sound tests as well, because that is something which Lian Li, although they make really good fans, they are a little bit on the loud side, which for me personally is a little bit of a deal breaker if we've got loud fans. I did find in the Lancool 3 that those were horrific, I suppose is really the only word you can use for it. They were like an absolute, well, it's like a thunderstorm. They were insanely loud. These are a little bit tricky to get through the top, I am finding. So you have to kind of pass them through in one direction and then kind of pull them back in another. So that is something they could have done a little bit better. Maybe some sort of pass-through. Again, it's not something that you're going to do on a particularly regular basis. Although saying that, when you're doing your kind of spring clean on your PC, you're going to want to do this, aren't you? You're going to want to take them out. The PWM one is actually alright, because that just goes through and you can kind of grab it quite easily. But the actual bit on this side to actually pull the cables through is a little bit challenging. Especially if you've got stumpy little fingers like mine. Jeepers.
David Underhill, I had a return refund rejected by a major company 3 years ago. I emailed them. I was making a small claims order against them. 2 minutes, the refund was done. Telling them I was the local JP helped, as I would have been the one doing the small claims.
Excellent. Yeah, basically give me my money back or I'll see you in court.
Mike Berry sent a Razer keyboard back to overclockers and no problems at all so far.
That is the sort of thing I like to hear. We are starting to work, I wouldn't say work with, that's probably the wrong thing, but we have got a contact now at overclockers here in the UK. So because of the troubles that we've had with CCL, the logical step in the next kind of how we go about doing our work in our business and buying stuff for ourselves is looking at obviously other companies. And overclockers seem to be doing pretty good things, which, well, that's something we look forward to. At the moment, obviously, the real kind of juggernaut in the whole field is Amazon. But Amazon being Amazon, you don't really want to use them unless you have to. Yes, it's practical and it's kind of cool for us because we get a kickback on purchases and stuff, but that's not really what it's all about. It's nice to see other businesses in the UK making a little bit of a stand and doing something cool and a little bit different. And Overclockers were kind of one of the pioneers in the UK for PC parts. They started off with a very cool forum, which kind of was just really for the cool kids to begin with, but soon developed to be a very big player in the tech space. So yeah, it's nice to work with them. And Overclockers is part of a very, very large company now. There's a group of companies, which is, I can't remember what it is now, PC Gamesware. It's basically a group of massive companies. So you've got Overclockers, there's Lian Li, you've also got, who else comes under the umbrella? Pro Gamerswear, that's the one. Noble Chairs, who we've got over there. Noble Chairs is part of the group as well. Co-Link's part of the group. Yeah, there's a bunch of companies. Aerocool. That's right. I think I covered most of them there. Anyway, you get the general idea. So Overclockers might be where we spend a little bit more money in the future. So coming towards the front of the case, there is a relatively cool feature, depending on how you look on it. So these two sections here are removable. There's also cutouts there, which I think, I'm not sure because I've not used it, but those look like stands for a D5 water pump. I could be wrong there, but that's what that looks like to me. They're also removable as well, so if you want to put the two fans in there instead of these little caddies, then you can do. If I can get my screwdriver to fit in. Let's quickly pop these out.
Charles asks, I hope you can do an unboxing and overview for the Asus TUF GT301 case.
I will see what I can do. I will make no promises, but you never know. So there is the grill. And that's like proper solid metal. Fair play. So if you put your pump on there, I'm not going to get any real vibrations come through there, so that is awesome. Or certainly you can mount a fan in there. So there's fan screw holes. It comes with a bunch of screws as well, actually, which we didn't look at. So they do give you a little plastic box with all the necessary screws. There's some spare thumb screws as well, like the ones we took out on the front. Motherboard mounting pillars, grommets, cable ties, fan screws. And again, very cool what they've done is they put all of it in that really nice chrome finish. So you don't have any kind of weird black cables sticking around. And also there's an additional spare little rubber mount there. I'm guessing that'll be for the power supply. If you've got a longer power supply, you can put another mount in there. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And just the little box itself is kind of nice to have anyway. Little dividers in there. Yeah, very good. Thank you for your purchase. Hope you enjoy your journey of building your PC. Well, thank you, Lian Li. God bless you and all those that say in you. So yeah.
Still using the stock fans on your editing rig?
Yes, the
How are they for noise?
The Co-Link Citadel, I'm still using, well, it's turned off at the moment, but yes, I am still using the stock fans. Surprisingly, they've done really well. And the PWM range on them is excellent. I can get complete silence if I need them to, or when they're ramped up. I've currently got a Intel 13900K and a Radeon RX 6900 XT. So both of them are kind of pretty heavy duty components. The graphics card, I think, will draw about 300 watts without much hesitation. And the processor, as we know, if you're running Cinebench or doing some all-core loads, the 13900 will hit kind of 300 watts reasonably easily, but arguably somewhere between 500 and 600 watts when it's all under full load. And yeah, handles it very, very nicely, keeps it all nice and cool. I've had no reason to change them. Anyone who knows me, anyone who's been to our house will know that I'm an absolute knobhead when it comes to fans. I really hate noisy fans because they drive me insane. They really do. So one of the first things I'll do if there's any issues at all, I will change fans out. But hand on heart, wherever it is, yeah, still using the Co-Link fans and the stock ones, which is bizarre because I've got a shelf there with all of the latest TUF fans from Thermaltake. I've got the Corsair SP120s. I've got 9 of the Arctic P0 fans, the 0 RGB things, and yeah, I've got the new SWA fans as well from Thermaltake as well. So potentially if I want to, I could put the best fans that are out there in that case easily, but I haven't needed to, or haven't felt necessary to. So if that is any recommendation for the Co-Link case, take it as it is. Next part of this is going to be the top section. This I do like, this is great, because when you're building a PC, it's a real pain in the arse to get the EPS connectors in. So a couple of screws here, and I've got a feeling, yes, this whole top bracket comes out.
Somebody said that earlier, they had to do something with their radiator, I think, so
yeah,
a swing door wasn't, a hinge door wasn't necessary, but the top needs to come off.
This I like a lot. I think this is a very good idea. Genuinely do. And also they've got some pass-through bits there, which mount or meet up there.
You haven't done the entire front I/O yet, have you?
No, I haven't done the I/O. We'll come round to that.
Yeah, sorry. If Mookie wants to know.
So yeah, that is awesome. So in here we can have a 360mm radiator, 280mm radiator, or 240mm. You can also have 3 120mm fans, or 2 140s, I think that'll be. I don't think you'll get 3 140s in there. No, you won't get 3 140s in there. But definitely options. 300mm radiator in the top for any case. These days, I feel is kind of starting to become almost, it should be a standard. Because processors running the way they do, AM5 processors, new Intel stuff, they run hot. And you want to keep the temps down. And a 360mm AIO, although is a luxury for a lot of people, they are coming down in price, and I've seen them this week for as low as £40 for a 360mm AIO. So when you're looking at water cooling versus air cooling, you may have your preferences, you may not, but I think price-wise, they're kind of getting there, where it's more affordable and more accessible for the riff-raff out there. I'm only joking.
Dutch Jones's by Be Quiet. Silent wings, they are wonderfully quiet. Didn't we have those at one point?
Yes.
I think we did review them.
Yes, you can. Something which I haven't touched on yet, which I probably should do, inside, if you want to change it from airflow mode to water cooling mode, currently it's in water cooling mode, all you have to do is undo the screws for your motherboard and move them all up an inch. So each one of those screws, just move them up an inch, it takes the motherboard up a little bit higher, but then it gives you a little bit more room down the bottom for fans. Which, if you're doing that thing, I'd probably never ever do that. If you do it as well, there are a couple of screws for this rear I/O, and as you can just about see, there's a little channel there, about an inch. So literally, you take this out, flip it around 180 degrees, so upside down. So this bit here would be at the bottom. You get the idea. It's pretty simple stuff. Although you might need to remove the fan to gain access to the screws, is the only kind of... Yeah, there's a screw at the top and the bottom, so you have to have the fan loose or off in order to do that. So for those wondering about that, that is that. For radiator mounts on the front, if you want to, there's a really nice deep channel here. I'm guessing that's about 60mm from the front. Wow, I was wait, 75. So from the actual bracket to the very back, 75mm. So even if you're going with an Arctic freezer, their rads are normally about 36mm, 37mm, plus 25mm for your fan. So that is, what, 63, 62, 63. So that's still going to give you about a centimetre gap between this and the fans, which, yeah, is more than adequate in my opinion.
Mookie says this case offers up a lot more options than I originally thought.
It does. The more I'm actually going through this, the more I'm thinking, I actually kind of like this. I'm sort of wishing I had the black one now, though. Because I know how bad I am with my cases, and because it's on the floor as well, scuffing it and getting it dirty is going to suck. But white is good because it doesn't show dust up so bad. So there is that. Right, let's look at the front I/O. Actually, I might be able to do this from the overhead camera, which might make more sense. So you can actually see it. Oh, God. Let's do overhead camera.
Before you get into that, can I ask an off-subject question?
Go on.
James Miscellaneous.
Yes.
How do you feel about the 7900X 3D? I'm in the minority where I think it's a good CPU but bad if you consider its price. It does cost too much.
I think it's a bad CPU overall. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's overkill, and I think the original version was fine. I don't think the cache makes a great deal of difference for that level of performance anyway, but I don't do professional gaming, so it means nothing to me anyway. Sorry, having a swig of my drink. Right, hopefully you chaps and chapesses can see that okay. Actually, those USB ports look bent. Where is a USB device? What can I plug in there? Oh, flash drive. Let's have a flash drive. Flash drive! Oh, that fits right. A bit loose. Right, so front I/O. USB Type-C. Can you see that? Is this coming through? It's a little bit off axis, isn't it? I do apologise. So USB Type-C, USB 3.0, USB 3.0, combo headset mic jack. That pisses me off. Why? Delilah. Reset button. Very hard to press, which is good. So I'm using it accidentally reach down and press the wrong thing. And rather easy to press power button. So that's pretty cool.
James Brock's just popped in and going again.
Cheers, James Brock. While we're actually in this position, and you can actually see that top, let's spin that around. I'm spinning around.
Don't have to put the hot pants on for it, lads.
Hot pants. So just so you can see what it's like when we remove that, just so you can see how easy it will be to work in this. The reason actually I like this is because, well, I like the Colink case and I do really want to stay with it, but I can't mount a 360 rad in the top. And I do want to put my Arctic freezer on my CPU, which I struggle to at the moment. So with that taken out, as you can see, passing through your cables at the top there, absolute piece of cake. So much access and room here. So if you're trying to change your CPU cooler, I love this open design. This is very, very cool. And even stupid little things like when you've got it all set up and you want to tuck your wires down around here because they're maybe sticking out or kind of down here, you can gain really super easy access to it and tuck your wires away. That is phenomenal. I'm very impressed with that. You can probably guess. Why is that tucked in there? Oh, that's the front I/O. Yeah, and also obviously you can make all your adjustments to cables and stuff. That is how they say, my friends in the West Country, that is Gert Lush. I like that. It's actually one of those things which they've engineered, and they've engineered very well. And it actually makes sense because it's something which builders, especially those that are messing around their system on a more regular basis, is great. And if you haven't got the dexterity, like putting a water cooler in isn't necessarily easy. So being able to just undo those screws, pull it out, mount your water cooler to it, then offer the whole thing up after, is just, yes, excellent. Very, very well done. Very impressed. Top mount, so again, got that nice mesh up there. That is pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Yeah, I am warming to this case. Let's put the front panel back on. This is going to get so dirty, so quick. It almost scares me how dirty it's going to get. Yeah, cool. Ah, I just realised, I thought the camera was very, very bright. I've got the gain turned up so high, it's ridiculous. There's a white case. Okay, so let's go back to the main camera. And I suppose really, the only thing left now is to fire up the fans and see what they're actually like.
Change camera?
I did, didn't I?
Hmm?
I have.
Oh, just delayed that.
Yeah.
Blackbeard the pirate came from Bristol, fun fact. William. And Dom says that top section is awesome for those who forgot to plug CPU power with a twin tower CPU.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, there's some very cool features on this actually. When it first came out, I was kind of, yeah, okay. And I saw the price to begin with and I thought, no, it's a bit much for what it is. But actually now, in hindsight, looking at it and seeing what is actually available, and that GPU bracket is pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, seeing how this all fits together, I'm certainly a lot more enthusiastic about doing a build in it. Quite often I'll get a case and I'll be like, oh, I've got to do a build on that. Cap will vouch for it. Quite often I say it and it's like, oh, I really don't want to do this. Or I can't be arsed or whatever. But with this actually, it does make a lot of sense. This is actually an upgrade over what I've got already, which is always a fantastic thing to have. So I need a I need a power supply. I need an RGB controller. And I need a fan controller because we want to see what these fans are like and whether they're too noisy. If the fans are too noisy, it is going to be one of those cases where I don't think, unless there's a big drop in price, that it's justifiable. The fans are going to be the kill or the making of it. So let's see what we can do with that. Right. So I'm going to need a hub. Hubba hubba. And I need a fan controller. Oh, what have I done? Oh, fan controller's in my hand. Idiot. So RGB fans, we've got that. Talk amongst yourselves. We're going to get these fans set up. Let's get Old Faithful down. So, oh, actually, I've said so again. I've got to stop saying so. It's so annoying. Basically, obviously, so. There's all the words that I should give up. Or be.
Digress.
Yeah. I don't often say that, though.
You do.
I digress. Colin Hilton says, use the L-Connect 3 to control the fans and RGB. I don't have an L-Connect. I don't think. Stuart Cleary says it's not annoying. It will be if I keep on mentioning it. But thank you for your kindness. Where's the damn... Come on, get in the hole. Am I being stupid? There we go. Trojan! How you doing, Trojan? Very good to see you.
What time is it now?
Yeah, what time is it in Australia?
And say hi to Ugly Bob while you're there.
Yeah, tell Ugly Bob we said hi. Before we carry on, I feel I must display this keyboard once again. I am so chuffed that I've actually got this set up now. It does look very cool. Look at those keycaps. I've got the put-in keycaps, so they're stealth. So when you actually turn the lights off, there's no markings on the keys at all, so it looks like a blank keyboard. But when they're lit up, you can see all the legend on there, and the lighting actually comes through very nicely. It's not overly bright, but it's just enough.
But that didn't do your head in doing that keyboard, did it?
Oh man, swapping over the keys. I bought a set of Razer pudding keycaps from Amazon, and it was an Amazon return, so I got them like £10 cheaper, and they're normally like 35 quid for the keycaps. I needed them because this was originally sent in a German format, and getting used to a 60% keyboard is bad enough, but getting used to a German layout as well is really confusing because it's a QWERTZ rather than QWERTY, and a lot of keys are very different. So I had to go through and when it's not lit up, let me show you. So if I unplug it, you can see there is literally nothing on there. You cannot tell what any key is. There is no legend on it whatsoever. So if you don't like RGB lighting, this is not the keycap set for you. So if you can imagine each key I had to hold up to the light to see what letter was on it before I could put it on. So it was extremely infuriating. It took me about an hour and a half to do. But I think the end result is pretty stunning. So yeah,
Right, here we go.
I am liking that. Anyway, let's put that to one side for now.
The Trojan says it's 846 there.
846.
746 in Queenland and 846 in New South Wales and Victoria. And then Dom's asked, can you control RGB with a reset switch?
No. No. This, the RGB controller which is in here as standard is literally a hub. So it just takes a signal that you've given it and replicates it. So you have to give it a signal. There is an additional add-on which comes at an additional cost, which is a little controller which you can put down the side here, and that gives you 2 more USB 3.0 ports, and you can control the inner and outer rings of the fan separately from that hub, which is a little bit peculiar. I'm not sure how that works. It's given it extra functionality that it doesn't actually have out of the box, which is a little bit weird. Oh God, you can't get up, can you?
I can get up. What do you want?
The little black adapter thing that goes on the end of here to short out the power supply.
Where's that?
It should be in that little tub with the remote control, the little magnetic thing. Actually, don't worry, I think I've got a spare. I've still got this thing.
See where it was on the desk.
That's right, got it. Yep. Gotta have my power supply jumper. There we go. So what we're going to need, a SATA. Here, mate, got one of those SATAs.
The L-Connect 3 is the software like Corsair IQ.
Ah, right, yeah. This has got no means of connecting to that software. It doesn't have a USB port to connect to the motherboard or anything, so yeah, this isn't LQ compatible in any way, shape or form. You can get an additional L-Connect. You can get an additional controller which will adapt these fans to L-Connect, but it doesn't come with it. Right, let me think about this. So what do I need? I need SATA power for L fans. So we'll wire that up. And we want SATA power for the fan speed. So let's plug that into, oh God, my brain. This is actually hurting my brain thinking this hard on a Saturday.
Clip tags in, looking good.
Hey Kev, how you doing, buddy?
Case, not you.
Bless your heart. Right, we're going to use the GameMax hub just to give us a RGB signal. Where's the other plug? There we go. This is a bit of right mess here, but it will do what it needs to. I could have used the fan controller on this, but I don't trust it as much as I trust the one from Noctua, for obvious reasons. So that is that. Let's plug in one of those. Talk amongst yourselves. This is one of those things that you can't really get ready for a stream. You just have to go with the flow. And it looks like, yet again, yep, they've done it. So the Sahara Gaming Hub is really tight. Ah, there we go. Okay, so in theory, this should be it.
Bang!
Don't do that. Look, made the monitor turn off now. Silly. Right. There we go. We should have fans and we should have lighting. We do. And actually, that looks kind of purdy.
Blame Pete Unwin.
Pete Unwin, thank you. That looks nice. I can't really see it from this angle very much, but yeah, those are cool. And
So the one at the back isn't.
very quiet. No, the rear one is not RGB, which is absolute pathetic. That upsets me greatly. Oh, I can't put my hand through. Right, let's see. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, whoever that is. David Aiken, £5, says, evening M&K and Mubbers. Wish I got the 216. 5 to 4, bloody hell. 4 to 5 centimeters shorter, height and depth versus the Lancool 3. Lighter too, I'd imagine. Hope the stock fans are quieter. Good. Thank you very much for the super chat, Dave. Much appreciated.
So do you want the lights on yet? Or?
Actually, no, leave them off for a bit. Let's take a little gander at the lighting. So can we make this brighter?
Put some wood on the fire, mates.
Can we make it duller? So we've got a bit of adjustment on the old fans. I tell you what, I'm not sure if that's coming through on the camera. I don't think it is because of the angle that it's on. But the diffusion of that grill is fantastic. So maybe if I turn it around so it's on that angle. Getting a bit of a moire effect on the old camera. Ignore that. But yeah, the diffusion is excellent. That looks very, very cool. I am quite impressed. And even on the lowest setting, there's a moderate amount of air. So let's turn it up on full blast. Not entirely obnoxious. Actually not moving a lot of air either. Let's turn that around a minute.
Lights still off, yeah?
Yeah. So there is a reasonable amount of air. I'm wondering how restrictive this is. It sounds like it's restrictive.
I can feel it here.
So yeah, that is quite a lot of air. It has increased the kind of the note or the sound signature a little. Let's turn it down, see where we get to it. So that is off. That is, that's 50%. And at 50%, you can hear them.
It's a bit bright to see well.
Oh yeah, and the camera's lost all focus ability. There we go, that should be right. So 50% fans, they're on. You know they're on. And it is moving a fair bit of air.
Did you ever finish what 120s would look like in there?
I haven't put 120s in, but they can be put in there.
But you finish saying what you were saying about that?
Yeah, really, yeah.
I drifted off.
So the lowest possible setting
No offence.
is silent, effectively. And still moving a reasonable amount of air to keep most systems cool. There is definitely an air chill feeling. The rear fan is almost stopped by the look of it. So I'm trying to work out on the actual dial on here how much it takes. I think about 40% is where it gets to before it makes any noise. Yeah, then you go to 50 and it's slightly audible. Thank you, Stuart Cleary, for your €20. Says nice informative review on the case. Might get one, especially now as I know Dave would get one. Hashtag blame Dave. It's Dave's fault. It's always Dave's fault.
Dave Hall, question: is it better to have front fans pulling in lots of dust and air, or do without the fans, as some techs recommend?
Dave, to be honest with you, I'm in a position where my PC, which is on my desk, actually, Kath, sorry, could you put the light back on again?
50% equals what RPM as well?
These fans are, I think these fans got 1800 RPM. So 40% is going to be somewhere around the 800 RPM mark, I guess, 8 to 900. Which kind of makes sense. That is normally with most fans of 140 or 160 mil or larger. When you get above half of their normal rated RPMs, that is generally when they start making noise. Purely because you're just moving a volume of air, and it's kind of more of a chop. You're chopping at the air. I think it's actually with the side panels and stuff on, you could probably knock it up a little bit more. But realistically, most people these days don't have their fans on particularly fast anyway. And I'm just particularly sensitive to fan noise. I said that at the beginning, it is very much a thing. There's no way on God's green earth I would run these at 100% all day long. You can probably hear that. And to be honest, there's no need to, because it's moving such a ridiculous amount of air that you'd never need to have them on that fast.
Back to Dave Hall's question.
What was Dave Hall's question?
Is it better to have front fans pulling in lots of dust and air, or do without the fans as some techs recommend? For non-gamers, of course.
For non-gamers, well, I don't know. I've never seen anybody not recommend having fans. I don't think I've ever seen that recommendation, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I would always have fans probably at the front of the case if I have the option for it. If you've got a case such as the Thermaltake S100 or S300, where you've got a solid section on the front and you've got a little bit of air intake on the side, then in that instance sometimes it's better to have fans elsewhere and have it as a negative pressure setup. So you've got fans maybe in the top or the back and they're pulling air through the system. But I think if you've got a mesh case, it has ventilation, even if the fans are on very low, so they're not pulling in or sucking in a ton of dust, it's nice to have that just gentle meandering of air going through the case. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Oh, Dave Hall, your favourite tech cut. Oh, that, yeah. That makes a lot of sense, yeah. Now you've said it, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, for an office PC, it makes no sense to have fans on the front, but then you would not have this kind of case as an office PC. Because the reason you'd buy a case like this is because it's got the size and performance and lighting and looks. It's a display case. It's not a work case. You can use it as a work case, but if you're building work PCs or office PCs in the general term of your kind of your basic beige or black box, yeah, there's no need. And most offices are filthy, horrible places. And PCs end up being put on the floor next to the pedestal desks or whatever. So they just suck in dust all day long. So ideally you don't want any fans if you can possibly help it, because they're just going to pull in more stuff. So in that instance, if you're on like a carpeted office floor, then yeah, you don't want fans because it's just going to be like a vacuum cleaner. So I can see where he's coming from with that, but that is a very, very minute area of the market which most YouTube videos don't cater for. You don't see kind of Dell computers coming onto YouTube and start trying to sell their basic beige black cases with no fans and no graphics cards, and look, this is how well it can use Adobe, this is how well it can use Excel, or your internet will load up this fast. It isn't, YouTube isn't all about that. It's all about kind of customization, cooling, lighting, personal preference, having a little bit of flair. Very much like the American car market, where very rarely do you get a standard car. It's always, right, straight out of the showroom, quickly change the wheels, change the tyres, put new shocks on, tint the windows. It's that kind of deal. And that is what the PC kind of industry has become for enthusiasts. Lucky Man has come in with £2 there and says, can't say enough thanks to all on our Discord. You're very welcome, sir, and thank you for the £2. Dave says, thanks for the offer. Thanks for the answer. O'Reilly says, I have work PCs which are just CPU cooler fans. They were built by HP. The work computers are just internet email, Google Docs, and occasional Zoom call. Yeah, for that sort of thing, that is basically what Kerry Holzman is saying, that if you're building a PC to just stick it in a desk or an office and do actual work on it for the next 5 years or something, then yeah, why put a bunch of fans or lighting or anything like that in there? It makes no sense at all. And also you're likely to have a very low-end processor or a very tame processor with very low TDP requirements, whereas most of us enthusiasts are kind of, if there's an option between a 65 watt or 100 watt part chances are we're going to buy the 100 watt part, or the X version over the non-X version. Obviously, depending on what finances you have available, etc. Yeah, so I think it looks pretty cool. Let's change our lighting. I don't like this fan hub. Ooh, purple. So yeah, it does have the inner and outer ring. I don't get how you would control the inner and outer rings though, because there are 2 cables. But I'm sure I've seen on another YouTube video where there's 2 buttons on the RGB controller, one for the inner ring, one for the outer ring, and you can change them independently. But I cannot see for the life of me how you would physically be able to do that.
Trojan objects, no mic, my code compiles faster with RGB.
It should do. That is what RGB is designed for compiling code faster and faster. I just thought actually I'm changing CAF's colours as well on her PC because this is the GameMax controller. Who was it who said earlier about light blue?
Stuart Cleary. And also, we said mine was a Lian Li.
There we go, pale blue.
GameMax.
Yours is the GameMax F15 mesh, which is basically the 215, yeah. I think they've actually done a pretty decent job on this. I'm not entirely convinced about the fans.
Speed the lights up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you can go to nosebleed inducing levels. I know I've gone the wrong way now.
Patrick LaBelle misses when computers were colourful with beige case, green motherboard, grey PSU with red, yellow and black wires, black cooler and green power LED.
Yeah, those days are far, far behind us now, fortunately. There we go, we're back to Unicorn Puke.
Got any 140s you can chuck in the front?
I have got 140s.
Wondering how empty it would look.
I suppose we could try that actually and see if... I wonder if 3 140s will fit. I don't think they will. But it is actually something which I am curious of, because I'll be honest with you, I probably would take the fans out, I think, or buy the case without them, or with just the stock ones and then do something else with them.
Take them off while they're still going.
Yeah. That's why I got short fingers, because I just keep on doing things like that. All right. Actually, I can tell, can't I? If I get 3 120s out, 3 140s.
I think somebody said earlier they had
We should see.
140s.
Have I got 140s and tough fans? No, I haven't. That's a shame. Actually, I haven't got many 140s. Didn't? No, maybe they didn't. I thought Thermaltake sent me some 14s of those. Never mind. Ugh. SWA fans. Let's have a look at the SWA fans.
Short fingers and a short avocado. No, not avocado. What's it called?
Attention span?
Eggplant.
Eggplant. I have a tiny aubergine. So these are the 140mm SWA fans. If you've not seen these already, these are actually very cool. You can just pop out the fan blades and replace them with ones that spin the other direction. So if you've got them mounted on the side of something, like, well no, in that case doesn't have it now, but you can get them where basically you've got an intake on the side, so you can have an intake and still see your fan blades, which is very nice. And there is new versions of the SWA fan out now, which are magnetic. So rather than having a cable for each one, you have all of them put together, which is awesome. So let's see, 1, 2, Not exactly a scientific thing here. I should have just looked on the website. That was probably the easier way. I think it might actually do it.
But how weird would it look? It's got cutouts, hasn't it?
No, I think it would actually look pretty balanced in there. So let's kill this off a minute. Let's bin that off. Unplug those again. And that one and that one. And we'll pop the front out. Oh, I've done those up too tight now. Does it say on the website that it'll do 3 1/4s before I actually attempt this? Is that your fans now going crazy?
Yeah. You do it, you'll be quicker.
No, it's not doing it. Because a lot of those RF controllers are all on slightly different specs, sometimes when I'm doing stuff here, Kath's computer goes bananas.
What do I put it on?
Put it on, try MB, the top corner, or all. And the fan speed, just press the lowest one, or plus and minus you got for fan speed, haven't you? I think.
Is that it or more?
That turned them off. No, that's on. That's fine. Okay. So one there. One there. This might actually work, you know, with 3 1/4s. Actually, don't. No, it's not.
I thought it looked
No.
tight, and so did Dave Hall.
Yeah. Dave Hall, you're absolutely right. The
2 times 240s on the website.
2 1/4s, I think, is going to look a little bit bare.
From 3
I don't know.
120s, 2 times 140, 2 times 160.
Yeah, that's a shame. I would have liked to have seen 3 1/4s on the front. Because with 3 1/4s, you get a really nice balance of airflow and low noise. Like the one I've got behind us, that's got 3 1/4s in there. And it's really nice because they're all just spinning really slowly, but they move a ton of air. So, yeah. There you go. The 1/4s actually aren't much smaller than 1/60s, so if you did actually do it, it probably wouldn't look entirely horrible. I don't know, do the people want me to do that? I don't know.
Radiator support front 360.
Yep.
280, 240.
That's right, yeah. Thank you, David. Yeah, front rad. I wouldn't say it's necessarily limiting, but I think it would have been nicer to have a little bit more option there.
This case couldn't be further away from the master box 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, the master box. That case, actually, that entire PC is now gone. Sold. I was actually quite impressed. There was a guy came around to have a look at it, buying it for a present for his son. And yeah, it was long gone. I should have this week, I was supposed to get another one done to move on some parts. And yeah, just because of not feeling particularly wonderful. I thought, no, sod it. This week I'm just going to chill a little bit. Still done 5 weeks, I think. 5 weeks. Still done 5 videos, haven't we? Where have we?
Did.
I think we did. That's the aim. 5 videos a week. Maybe the odd occasional extra one if we can, but 1 a day, Monday to Friday. That's our working week. And then do the stream on a Saturday. So 5 videos plus a live stream. I think is, in terms of YouTube content, I think we're getting the job done. And actually this year, between well, this time last year and now, we've gained, I think it's 17,000 subscribers. So I think we're doing something right. Or Kath is, I'm not sure. One of us is.
I think it's Poppy.
Anyway, there is the
And
case.
also earlier, David Underhill wondered if you could review the box it comes in, because his app always.
Very good.
And I want to pick up Flame and show him his little box. He's in the tiniest box, isn't he?
He is. Let's stick that there. Neck ache. Right, let's get this packed away, I think. I don't think there's anything else really we can say about this case. Yes, it's got some very cool features in my opinion, and it's got some failings as well. And there's some things which I would have liked to have seen better. I still believe that there isn't a perfect case out there. The perfect case still really doesn't exist. All cases to some extent are going to be something which you are going to have to take some kind of hits here and there with. Unless you build one for yourself to your own specific standards, but then there's a strong chance that your specific standards may not be the same as someone else's specific standards. So your perfect case may not be their perfect case.
Oh, Colin Hilton, first time watching your stream for this 79-year-old non-techie. Great review.
God bless you, sir. 79 years young. What was his name? Sorry, I'm looking.
Colin Hilton.
Colin Hilton. Thank you, Colin. First time watching. 79 years young. God bless you. Welcome to the channel. And if you don't mind me asking, Colin, how did you actually find us? I'm always intrigued to know how people find us. And hopefully it wasn't from someone just writing my name and number on the side of the toilets. That happens far too often. Yeah.
Oh, more members is because of your charming appearance, Mike.
Who do we have to pay to say that?
Dutch Jan.
Oh, bless you, Dutch Jan.
David Underhill. I thought I was the oldest. I am 68.
I think we had someone who was in their 90s at one point. Whether or not they're still with us, I don't know.
Was that Peter North porn star bloke that came in?
Oh, yeah. No, he thought he was in the 90s. Not actually 90.
Roderick's 82, 68.
God bless you. So clearly we're appealing to the more refined gentleman.
Name came here from a Mummy Returns review on IMBD.
Excellent. Well played, sir. It's a good job I don't have any kind of stigmas.
Sausage and it brings you here.
Thank you, James.
Didn't even need to say that.
Didn't even need to say it. No. I can't even see the screen. I just know that'd be James.
Yeah, it was.
Bless your heart, James. Whenever I say bless your heart or stuff like that, I always feel like I'm that evangelical guy that was on the A-Team once. I can't think what his name is now, but he's been in a lot of films and he plays the same character in pretty much all the films as like some crazy evangelical
Bob Joyce.
thing. Yeah, Bob Joyce, and he also looks a heck of a lot like Elvis Presley. Who'd have thought it?
It's darling
Right,
conspiracies.
I'm going to have to pack this case away because, well, primarily it's massive and I can't see what I'm doing. So I'm going to pack the case away. We'll have a little bit of a tidy up here. I'm going to have a quick slurp of my drink and then we'll do a little quick Q&A and answer any questions. And we'll also talk about some of this week's tech. And also there is a new graphics card I purchased this week, which is actually something which I didn't think I would ever buy. How's that for intrigue? Oh, I didn't touch on the bottom of this actually, did I? On the bottom, there is feet on the bottom, but they're very small. And there is a removable filter. In the interests of getting it all done. I'm not too sure actually how those feet would impact the power supply, because the feet are very, very small. So depending where you've got your power supply, that could actually make it a little bit harder for it to breathe. Anyway. Right. Okay, I'll give you a bit of tape and you just stick it back out for Daisy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
she's been pain earlier. I'm going in her bed back.
Oh, dear. There we go. Right, let's get all this crap turned off.
Poppy door I don't like to eat.
Nick Barnes says, don't you think it's because us oldies appreciate quality? I think it's probably not the fact that you appreciate quality. I think it's just like most of your eyesight and your faculties are going, so it doesn't really matter.
Sorry.
I might as well go back to 1080p rather than 4K. No one can see it anyway. Most of all me. Dutch Jan says I'm only 20 with 33 years of experience. Nicely done. Ooh, touch the bottom. Nice one, Kev. Click Tech Kev says, being here makes me feel young, lol. Mike does a lot for the older generation, makes complex ideas sound very simplistic. I think so. I'm not sure how to take that. Thank you, Kev. Oh, God. It's surprising, actually, the amount of times I get up and down out of my bastard chair. You'd think I'd be like Arnold frickin' Schwarzenegger after he's had, like, legs day every week.
Did you read Collins?
No, I didn't, sorry.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting one. That'll lead on, won't it?
Right. Oh, what? Is he watching... was it on the adult channel?
No.
Oh, that's right. Colin, I can't see.
It's underneath.
Thanks, Mike P. Says, good evening all. Late to the stream. Been playing Hogwarts Legacy. I'll catch up with the replay sometime in the week. No worries, Mikey. Sorry, I'm trying to find this now. Kath's...
It's up a little bit for Mike P.
Mike P. Roderick Kennedy says, I'm 8'2". Oh, 68.
No, down from that. It's under Dutch Jan with I am 20 with 33 years of experience with the smiley emoticons.
I've got nothing there.
Right, Colin Hilton. No, I sub to 1 or 2 streamers. I like building my own PCs and uploading to my small YouTube channel. I donated the 360 link camera that Adamant used tonight. I will donate you if you use PayPal.
I got it. I that makes sense, Colin. Why is that not on my... That went down the wrong way.
You are on not live chat then, are you?
Yeah, it says live chat there.
I don't know. I think I miss things because I see people replying to people and then I can't see the first question.
Dave Hall says, I like all the banter. Lightens the mood all round. Yeah, I think the banter is the thing. Life is very much like my penis. It's way too short and you've got to make the most of it. Isn't that right, Kath?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's on there on my live chat, actually. No, I won't be able to see it on there.
Anyway, so you're going to reply?
Colin, thank you very much. Donations are not necessary. It is very kind of you to offer, but we do all the usual things. We've got like Patreon and YouTube membership if you want to do that. If you ever want to send us anything, you can send us an email, mike@mikesunboxing.com, and if you want to donate anything to the channel, we always look on that sort of stuff very very gladly, because it's quite interesting, and some people throw away basically stuff that they don't want, and it's perfectly good. In fact, I've got something here, which this is actually a good segue, because Colin, as you said, was watching Adamant IT, Graham and Caradog. We potentially will be doing a crossover video. So I've got this motherboard which was sent in from another kind viewer of our channel, and it has an absolutely terrible USB 3.0 port. It looks like someone's basically stuffed a screwdriver or something in there. It is absolutely wrecked. Now my soldering skills suck. Like, no, really suck. And this is a right-angled USB 3.0 connector. So you'd have to, well, if it's an upright one, you could potentially desolder the pins and put new pins in. But because of where this is, you'd have to destroy the connector to get the pins out, because they're they go in like that into the plastic and down through. So let me give you a close-up of that, just so you can get an idea of what I'm actually talking about here, and see how bad it is. Let's see. You can see that is, I think that's focusing. It's pretty wrecked. I don't think you could argue. There's not going to be a great deal of choice or chance of getting that out in one piece, I don't think. So there's pins on the back, very small. I don't think I can solder that. So, I said it again. I mentioned to Graham on the chat today that I've got this board and like what were the suggestions, and he kindly said he would take a look at it for me. So we've either got the option of driving down to Dorset and dropping it onto him, or sending it down. I'm not too sure, but it would be nice to be able to repair that, I think, and it'd be an interesting crossover because a lot of our viewers also watch Adamant IT and vice versa, so it's kind of like a crossover thing. I would really love to be able to go down there, visit the shop, have a look around and kind of spend the day down there, but traveling, etc, expenses for fuel, whatever, ULEZ, all that kind of stuff, it's all kind of like designed to just piss you off. Potentially we could get a train down or something, make a bit of a day of it, but I don't really want to impose on Graham. Or leave the house, to be fair. So potentially I might just put it in a box, send it to him with this very short video, just do a video introducing myself to his audience and explaining what the problem is and see what we can do about it, which I think would be a nice crossover. And to be fair, Graham,
seeing Mike and Graham,
he's cool.
Blew my mind.
it would blow my mind. It would be very surreal. I've had a few people that live locally or that have visited, Ugly Bob and Dave particularly. Both have been here and sat in the hot seat, so to speak. So for them, I'd imagine it's quite a strange experience to sit in the kind of studio where we film from. I mean, after watching it all.
In Ugly Bob's case, he had Poppy even sitting on his shoulder.
Yeah, Bob was Poppy's climbing frame, which was kind of funny. Oh, that doesn't fit. So yeah, it would be quite nice to sit into somebody else's like filming studio. It would feel very surreal, I think. But yeah, it would be a cool thing to do.
Use a mechanical pencil, if you call it that in English, of 0.5mm. You can straighten them out.
Some of them are physically missing. I did want to do that. I did want to repair it, but I think it's beyond my abilities. There's a couple of pins missing on each side of the USB. So if I could have got just one USB port working from it, I think I would have been happy. But because the pins that are missing are from different ports, unfortunately it's not going to be a goer. So yeah, I can't unfortunately do that.
He's got a lovely looking couch in his office.
Who's that, Graham?
Yeah, clicked.
He certainly has. Why am I not seeing any chat? What was the... Oh yeah, he has. I got it, sorry. Stuart Cleary says, I've been watching Graham for years now. I like his nerdiness. I do. Quite often I don't like watching that many channels which are very similar to us. But I think Graham and Caradog have got just the right amount of nerdiness that surpasses our levels of knowledge. So it's kind of nice that you can learn things, but also in a slightly more kind of comfortable environment. So they're not overly nerdy where you lose like your mind, because it's like, wow, they're talking about stuff which just I don't get. But they do a really good job of kind of doing high-tech repairs and kind of dumbing it down for the masses, i.e. me, which is awesome. So, yeah, Graham's casting couch. I think it would be very cool to go down there and see the guys.
And Mookie above that, I like that one.
Mookie, this would be an example where crossing the streams would be okay. Yeah, we've all seen Ghostbusters, haven't we? They all say don't cross the streams because it will bring an end to the universe and the space-time continuum. But I think, well, my boldness and Graham's hairiness, I think we'd probably find a good a meeting area somewhere in the middle. How you doing, Caesar? And hi, Hugh. Hugh Luttrell says, sorry, David Underhill, cut off the old connector, hit it with lots of flux and use hot air desoldering tool. Well, that is what I was thinking, but then by the time I've bought a hot air soldering gun thing, again, literally, my soldering skills are absolutely horrendous, like proper horrendous. So if I spend the money and do the job and try and video it at the same time, I think I'd possibly damage the board. Now I've actually got a PCI Express USB front panel header adapter. So I could just literally plug it into a PCI Express slot and forget it. But it's one of those cool things. I thought, well, Graham's awesome at soldering and fixing motherboards and stuff like that. I'm a fan of his channel. We've spoken a couple of times, so we're kind of aware of each other, or at least he's aware of me anyway. Yeah, so yeah, it'll be a nice little crossover, and obviously some of the people that watch our channel may not necessarily know about Graham and vice versa. So yeah, it might be a nice way of growing both channels. Colin said, I took some parts down to Graham last month, a 10-hour round car journey. Jesus. So when you say down, I'm guessing you must be up north. That's just a guess. David Underhill says, my soldering skills are brilliant, humble modest. I used to teach other hams how to do their own repairs. Awesome. That is great. I really wish I'd learned, well, not really learned, but had the patience or the dexterity. I don't think it's even the patience or dexterity. I think it's because my left eye is very short-sighted and my right eye is quite long-sighted. So I don't have that kind of proper 3D vision that really you kind of need. So when I'm soldering, depending which eye is feeling more dominant, my positioning isn't quite right. So using a microscope is hard work, or a magnifying glass is hard work, because my positioning isn't quite as kind of key as it should be. I do struggle with that. Aletta says, who is Graham? Graham and Keradog on the Adamant IT channel. They do a live stream on a Saturday afternoon on Adamant IT 2. And the main kind of channel is Adamant IT, where he does computer repairs, etc. Definitely worth watching. Welsh Tony says, time for glasses, Mike. Getting old now. To be honest, even with glasses, because the differences in my eyes are so, well, not so much, but like with this eye, if I look at stuff up close, it's like perfectly in focus. The other eye has got to be about there. So there's like 6 to 7 inches of difference. And when I'm doing things like that, which involve 3D dimensions or depth, I do struggle a little bit. Other stuff like driving and normal stuff, like where it's very far, I'm fine. But for close-up stuff, yeah, it's a little bit of a pain. Colin's in Wigan, Lancashire. That's north of Gloucester, isn't it? We don't venture that far. Dutch Jan says, I can't wait for Graham to do regular motherboard repairs. Well, tell him. Send him a message and say, can you repair Mike's Unboxing's B550 MVDH Pro Wi-Fi? Thank you, please. Stuart Cleary, I think your excellency is presenting videos. I don't quite understand that, but you have to explain that one. I don't quite get it. David Underhill says, I have a $500 soldering Wii workstation that I build micro pico-sized electronics as a hobby. I'll send it to you. David does solder work with a digital microscope. Wow. Michael T says, Mike, it's called getting older. Yeah. Rick H says, soldering is an art form. I've been soldering since 1979. Yes, I'm that old. Welcome to the club. We're all old here. So yeah, that is... Oh yeah, Dutch Jan posted a link there for Adamant IT. Go over and check him out. It's very fascinating stuff he does. It's very different content, but you can learn a lot from it. It's awesome. Mark Berry. Question for you, Mike. Do you still use that Synology DS200 NAS? I'm thinking about taking the plunge and buying one. I'll be honest with you, I love the DS220 Plus, but for me, I felt that I needed more drives for resiliency, so I've now got the DS420 Plus, which is basically the same model, but with 2 extra drive bays. And yeah, I use it every single day. It's fantastic for Synology Active Backup for Business, which I use to back up Cap's PC, my stream PC, the living room PC, my laptop. Yeah, it's a cool bit of kit. It depends what you want it for, but I really like Synology. I think the software works very well, and it seems to be slightly more resilient than QNAP and who's the other one? ASUS Store. ASUS Store has got really good hardware, but their software isn't quite as polished as Synology. Where Synology, you get generally okay or mediocre hardware, but rock solid software. So it swings and roundabouts. Welsh Tony says, my Synology has crashed 3 times now. That doesn't sound good. With NASes, if you've got a NAS and it's more than probably 5 years old, it's probably dying. They don't last forever, which is a common misconception that NAS drives will last the long term. This is why a lot of NAS companies have built in software so you can directly replace your NAS with a new NAS, because they know that they don't last forever and you do need to do a migration from one unit to the other. So if it's a slightly older one, then I would suggest it's possibly starting to fail. Or if it's one that takes memory, try swapping out the RAM.
He's got a QNAP one now. Who was looking like Elvis?
William, I do not know.
You do, Bob Joyce.
Oh, Bob Joyce, yes, sorry.
BOBJOY.
Yeah, Bob Joyce, we believe,
Not we believe.
Yes, we do, Kath, shut up. We believe, Kath does definitely, and the cats definitely do. They're singing along to it. Meow, 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 meow.
Oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, Bob Joyce is Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley didn't die. He's alive and well and singing in choirs and is a pastor in a church called Bob Joyce. It's definitely him. He's still eating hamburgers. His hair color's changed, but it's still him.
What is the most disappointing piece of tech you have purchased?
Ooh, a good question, Mookie. What is the most disappointing piece of tech you have purchased, Mike? Whew. That's actually a tough one. There has been numerous things which I purchased which have been ultimately disappointing. The most recent, I would say, is probably the AMD AM5 Platform. Buying into that as early as it is, I think, was in hindsight a mistake. Quite an expensive mistake. So in terms of disappointment, I would say arguably that is kind of towards the top at the moment, or at least it's the most prominent in my mind. Prior to that, it would be the RX 650 XTs, which I bought 2 of. So not only did I regret it once, I regretted it twice on the same day. That, I think. William Bodie, yes, the ASUS motherboard. Definitely the ASUS motherboard is got to be on the list. ASUS motherboards in general, I know that there's people out there that love ASUS stuff and have nothing but praise for it and enjoy it, and it does what they want it to. I've just been either very unfortunate or part of a growing number of disgruntled people that are buying ASUS. I don't know. Actually, going back to Welsh Tony, if you have a QNAP, make sure you turn off any external access, unless you're accessing it through a secured VPN, because there's still a bug outstanding which they have not remedied yet. I don't think they will. So if you have any external access to your QNAP NAS, shut it down. Or at least make sure you've got a backup of the entire system elsewhere so it doesn't get encrypted.
Tier 69's got a QNAP too.
Yeah, if you've got Shearer 69, if you've got a QNAP as well, make sure it's offline. Don't leave any ports open externally. Ideally, if you can, they actually did say on their website not long ago to basically turn off your NAS and disconnect it from the wall, because there's basically a flaw which they say they've patched it, but I don't think it's fully patched, because the way that it's actually part of the operating system means it's very difficult to patch entirely. But I don't know. I need to have another look. I have got a QNAP NAS upstairs somewhere. I do need to dig it out and have some more testing on that. Ah, right. Tony's saying, yeah, QNAP is for my Plex library, so yes, all external is now blocked.
Twig hiker, just above.
Twig hiker, the Super Vibrosex 6000 I bought from AliExpress was disappointing, and hi all, had to walk home from work, as the car is FUCK'd. Well, that's sorry. Stuart says, Mike, I meant you excel at presenting videos. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I feel like I wing it, but I always acted the fool when I was at school, so I think it's just a natural progression. William Bodie says, sorry to ask again, how is the strike going on in the UK? I don't think there is one.
We don't have TV, so we don't know.
Yeah. As far as I know, that there isn't a postal strike. I think it was just the fact that there was that big hack, which seemingly has been resolved now. So, as far as I'm aware, the postal union or postal workers, I don't think they were striking after those couple of initial days.
Only to affect Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
And they took our parcels for overseas this week, didn't they? So
Yeah,
it's just a backlog.
Our overseas parcels have gone out this week. So if you're overseas and you're expecting something from us, then you will be receiving that hopefully shortly.
But they might have a backlog.
The Trojan, worst tech I ever bought was a Gamewood GTX 970. Worst cool wine I have ever heard. Damn. Hugh Luttrell says, I like the speed of my 7700X and my ASRock motherboard. That's what I've got in there now, 7700X, and I'll be honest with you, I'm really disappointed with it. I kind of wish I'd stayed with my 5800. Yeah, I do. I would have saved a lot of money and a lot of pain and anguish. Welsh Tony, you most likely answered already, but what are your current final thoughts for the Lian Li case? Seems slightly disappointing so far from what I have seen. I would say it's very much like most of the Lian Li cases of recent times, where it's got some very cool features, it's been engineered very well, the overall look is very pleasing, but there's a few little things which could have been done slightly better. Now the painting on the side, it happens. It's not the first case I've had that's done that, so I wouldn't say like it's the end of the world. It's a pain, but these things do happen. I think overall, the only thing I probably would have liked to have seen change in it is maybe having 3 140s up front and that addressable RGB fan in the rear. I think if they'd have done the same fans, they can't, can they? Physically won't fit. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I would have probably liked to have seen it with just 3 120mm fans in the front and a single 120 ARGB in the back, and just have 4 addressable RGB fans, which were not overly expensive. I think that might have been a better solution. I think the 2 160s, they're not particularly quiet. They're not moving a huge amount of air. It's more of an aesthetic thing, or the look of it. So I wouldn't say it's a bad case. I wouldn't say it's one of those things where you have to drop everything and go and buy one. But certainly, if you like the look of it and it fits the parts that you need, the access point is going to be a key thing. If you're someone who struggles with dexterity or in building in general, and you want a more open chassis to work in, where the top comes out and you've got plenty of room there to work in, yeah, you cannot go wrong with that. In that terms, I think it's probably one of, if not the only case in its price class at the moment with like front USB Type-C, arguably decent fans, not excellent, but decent fans, and that whole kind of look, for the money, yeah, I think it's great. I would like to see it at £99. I think there's like a psychological thing for a lot of people when they're buying a case. They're like, I'm not spending more than 100 quid on a case. And even if it was perfect and it was £105, there's still that kind of psychological barrier. So I think I would have liked to have seen it come in £99 for the RGB, maybe £89 for the non-RGB, or maybe even £79 for the non-RGB version, or possibly even a cheaper version again with no fans at all. I think that would be something which I think would please a lot of people, because a lot of people got their own fans or their own ecosystem of stuff which they like. So maybe you're a Corsair fan, you've got all your Corsair fans, your Commander, your IQ stuff. Being able to just transfer that straight into a case would be pretty cool. But then if you're a Corsair fan, chances are you're probably going to go with like the 5000D, which is kind of the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's if there was like a 0% would be bad, 100% would be good. I would say in terms of a case, it's got to be somewhere around the kind of 80-85%. There isn't a lot to dislike about it, but there's things I feel could have been done differently. I don't know, again, it always comes down to price. If it's cheap where you are, or you can get it on a deal, maybe a discount code, discount voucher, then that could swing it a lot. David Aitken says, I would love to see you review a few Fractal cases soon. They've churned out loads recently. Their portfolio is huge. I love the look of the North and the wooden front. Yeah, I've always found Fractal cases to be a little bit overhyped. I don't know why. I think it's because they do quite well in reviews on Hardware Canucks and Gamers Nexus. They both seem to have a very kind of a sweet spot almost for Fractal. They're nice cases, but I don't know. There's something about them which just doesn't do it for me. I had one before. It was a great case. I liked it, but I don't know. I just didn't really get the hype. And when like the Meshify come out, it was all kind of like, oh god, it's a Fractal case with airflow. It's like, okay, whatever.
I think that was is that the one we did a review on?
Yeah.
That's the first.
One of the first cases we ever did was a Fractal.
Debut of Flamey on top of it, spinning around on that thing, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it might do. Yeah.
Rick H. Mike, I hope that AM5 contact frame helps with your AM5 woes. I think you did say earlier, didn't you?
Yes. Rick saying, yeah, Rick kindly sent us the AM5 secure mounting bracket. We have done the video. It is uploaded. It will be out to patrons, I think, Monday or Tuesday, possibly. If it isn't already out now. Yeah, it's a very... I don't know. I'm... Oh, it's on Patreon already. Thank you. I'm reasonably sure that my motherboard has some bizarre issue, but I am sort of kind of almost to the point where I think it might even be my mouse. I've had some very bizarre, just random crashes on the PC, and also for some reason, plugging in the HDMI cable to my camera, which is attached to the capture card in the PC, if I attach the cable, that screen goes blank. So there's something not quite right here. Now I found it before, if I plug in a power socket to the power adapter on the wall there, sometimes it will go blank, the screen again. But I've done it with 2 or 3 different plugs and it all does the same. I've even changed the socket down there as well. So there's something a little bit screwy with the electrics in here, I think. But more so, I'm beginning to think that the motherboard actually does have problems with the USB ports. But with the original AM4 launch, the early Ryzens had terrible problems with USB. So whether or not I'm being affected by that, I don't know. I've done three reinstalls so far on that. And every now and then, randomly, it will just crash. And I cannot put my finger on it at all. But I have found that my MSI mouse, for some reason, seems to double click every now and then. So I go to click on something and it opens it straight away, which I'm not expecting. So whether or not the USB port is bad, whether the mouse is bad, I'm not sure. So I am going to decommission the mouse for a little while and see if it makes any difference. It brings me any stability. Sometimes you can get weird stuff like that, where a single USB device somewhere on your system causes havoc. It did crash yesterday, completely out of the blue. I was sat over there, it's like, why is my screen gone blank? And it rebooted and was like, oh, your system shut down, error 42, that old chestnut. And I haven't investigated it as much as I should do. But it's weird, every now and then, like, it's been fine now for what, 3 hours pretty much, and it's been on all day. No problems. But then suddenly it'll just shut down for no reason. Early adopter, I think that's the trouble. So, yeah, the heat, going back to the video, the actual secure retention plate is excellent because it stops all of the heat paste going down in between the little bits of the processor, which makes cleaning much easier. And I have got 4 or 5 different pastes now, which I'm going to go ahead and test on the system to see if there's any real benefit of choosing different pastes these days, especially on these processors. So we'll see. But yeah, thank you for that. I would suggest using one. It does make sense. The pressure retention thing always scares the life out of me. I always hated Intel for that, which is why I almost always stuck to AM4, because I preferred the layout. And I think we're going to see a lot more dead motherboards on the market with the pins being damaged. It's going to happen. Dom, you never know.
Destiny's Grave, have you seen, and what are your thoughts on the Asus Prime AP201 micro ATX case?
There's a lot of people mentioning that actually, those cases. I've not had one, I've not really seen one, apart from very brief things that I've seen about it. It does look very interesting. It's, from what I can tell, it's very similar to the InWin. What's their new range? InWin have got a new range of cases. They do like an A1 type thing, an A3 and A5. So ITX, micro ATX and ATX, all based on that kind of inverted type chassis, or tunnel, tower, whatever. Same as the GameX Spark. They all kind of work around the same chassis. Johnsbow D30, I think it is, and D50 or D40. So yeah, it's an interesting idea based on that. I might get hold of one at some point. They've not been particularly cheap locally, so we'll see. Michael T says, I currently have 3 different AM4 builds and never had any USB dropouts or any other issues. I never did after the X370 chipset. B450 onwards was all pretty decent. Adam N, my B550 Tomahawk says 5000 series ready on the box. Does this mean it will be good for all 5000 series, or should I flash the BIOS before starting my build? Depends which one it is. If it says 5000 series ready, look for another sticker that underneath might say 5600G or 5700G compatible, or G series compatible. If not, there's a chance it'll be just ready for the initial release of the 5000 series. So that'll be the 5950, 5900, 5800, 5700, 5600. Yeah, if it's a 5600, it'd be fine.
Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you then.
That's all right, it's good.
Because he hasn't got it yet, so he probably would have wanted to hear those.
Stuart Cleary says a PC should last 10 years at least, in my opinion. 10 years is a long time in PC terminology. That's a lot of different Windows operating systems. So it might have been able to years back when you've had a little bit more longevity in operating systems. But I think as they're changing more regularly, that might not be quite as easy to do from a hardware level, especially with things like TPM, Secure Boot, UEFI. arguably before that, you could still run Windows 2000 at a push on most hardware. But I get where you're coming from. They should last that long in theory. Well, to be honest with you, a PC should last until it physically dies. Whereas at the moment, with a lot of things, much like mobile phones, we get that planned obsolescence. So you buy an Android phone, it's good for 2 years, 3 years, then they stop doing updates, so it's basically junk. Same with iPhones, same with pretty much everything now.
Washing machines.
Yeah, washing machines, they've all got planned obsolescence.
To save the planet.
Patrick Bell says, once I had USB problems, found out the little piece of metal on the I/O shield was supposed to be over the ports, not actually into the top one. Yeah, I think we've all done that. I definitely have. I've been there before and I've had my little tin snips. My miniature tins. Oh crap.
Are you saying maybe that's what's happening with yours?
I'll double check it. It shouldn't be because it's an integrated I/O shield. It's a fixed shield from the factory. So I don't think so. Although one of them is actually very close to the edge. And I do find whenever I plug it in, it's always really hard to push in. So potentially it could be. Lol. Thank you, Stuart. Shearer69 says Intel is the worst for pins being damaged. I always use contact frames on 12/13th gen boards. I've got 3 returned with bent pins waiting to fix when I get around to them. Yeah, that's LGA boards are going to be an absolute nightmare in the coming years, with both Intel and AMD being on the same type of sockets. It's going to be horrendous. And the amount of people that are going to end up buying boards secondhand where the pins are absolutely wrecked and not have any idea that it's likely to happen is going to be terrifying. Rick says, I loved Windows 2000 Pro. Yeah, I did. I didn't at first. I actually begrudged going from Windows Millennium to 2000, but the stability kind of made you go that way. And you had to learn it at some point, so you had to get into a grown-up operating system. Mark Point says, I'm rocking a laptop with a GT630, thinking that came out a little more than 10 years ago now. It probably did, actually, yeah. What's that noise? Oh, I can hear the fan blades on. We've got one of those things on top of our wood burner that converts heat energy to electricity and spins a fan. And it's getting to a point where it's slowing down. I can hear the fan whining a little bit. That's not driving me mad. Jay Gordon says fixed shields still move a bit. Yeah. Oh, hello, Flame. I do need to look into that. Oh, spit out. I do need to look into that. Come on, Flame, out of the way.
Move over. Flamey. Come on.
Trojan says, we'll be interested to see review the Thermaltake J24 ARGB mesh front 3 ARGB fans, 79 Australian dollars, 45 quid. Thermaltake J24. I've never even heard of it. I'm going to have to do the Google thing. Oh. Thermaltake J24. Alright, where's my mouse gone? I would press the right control button, but I've not... Oh, come on. Oh, there it is. There we go. I'm not very good at multi-monitors, I'm really not. I'm not really good at most things, to be fair. I just struggle. Thermaltake J24. Oh, they got it available at Scan. No, they don't. Tempered glass RGB. Oh, right, okay. Let's desktop view you there. And let's accept those. So, yeah, Versa J24.
Oh, you've gone to bed, Flame.
Yeah, that isn't disgusting. Yeah, if that's around about 45 quid, I think that's half tidy. If you get fans included with it, which it looks like you do.
That other one you did recently, was that GameMax?
Yeah, they just plain... Actually, that frame, this section here, if I'm not mistaken, that is the same chassis as the Fractal Define... which one is it? It's the one that we did the review on ages ago. Because that all looks very, very familiar. Fractal Define C, is it? Define CTG?
I think that's what we had, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what we had. That looks like exactly the same chassis.
Is that a mesh or glass front?
Glass. And then this is mesh. Looks like it's mesh. 2 USB 3.0s on the top. Yeah, that don't look too bad.
Super Gun Slinger asked...
Oh, they're RGB fans, not addressable RGB. But not the end of the world. If it's cheap enough, you can just chuck it out. Oh, it's got custom Thermaltake switchboard. That is a little bit of a... not great. That's showing its age though. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the Fractal Define C with a different front panel. Oh, thank you for that.
Super Gunslinger.
Super Gunslinger. Picked up a 7800X this week. Just can't figure out which board to buy. Was looking at the B650M DS3H, but would prefer a ATX. Well, they do a B650D S3H, which isn't the M version. Actually reviews very well from what I can tell, and relatively cheap priced, about 160, 150, 160, which isn't good, but for an AM5 board, it's not bad. So yeah, I would. I think you're in the right line there, right area. Dutch Jan saying the ARGB, they do an ARGB version as well. All right, okay. Junior saying, have you reviewed the Montech Sky 2 case? Seems like a nice case. No, I said this a little bit earlier in the stream. Montech, we've asked them for numerous cases. The Montech, is there Montech Air as well or something? Or Sky, whatever it is. Yeah, Sky 2. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Sorry, late in the day. Yeah, they've basically said, no, we've got no review samples for you, so we'll see. You never know. I'm not entirely convinced I like the look of them. I kind of do, but I kind of don't at the same time. I'm getting a little bit fussier with cases, I think. The budget end, I still kind of like, yeah, you can let things go, but as soon as you hit the kind of 70 to 100 plus mark, you've got to be a little bit more kind of choosy, I think, personally. It's a lot of money. That's a good point, Mookie. Stuart says, Mike, you're a tech aficionado. It's Saturday. Have a beer. Sadly, as things are, I've got to go to work tomorrow. So the worst thing is having a beer and then wanting another beer. And then that beer leads to another beer. And then that leads to me being absolutely hanging the next day. And also, not having a drink seems to, fingers crossed, hopefully, my GERD has basically pretty much gone. So I don't really want to have that flare up again, because anyone who's suffered from GERD knows that it's an absolutely horrific pain. So I'm trying to not do the beer thing, at least at the moment. When the summer comes, I think I will, because it's nice to have a beer in the summer.
But then you'll be getting sunshine, so...
Hugh Luttrell says, I looked for 8-layer boards for the AM5. Bolts, the ASRock, all boards are 8-layer. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, we do have 20% VAT plus 20% inflation. So yeah, add that onto prices. Rick H says, I'm using the Fractal Design Focus G in blue. I do like some of their cases, Fractal. David Under says, drink American beer, basically water. So I think, actually, even if I drank American beer right now, I think I'd still get a little tipsy on it, because I have not drank in... I can't remember the last time I had a drink.
It's got a few months now, isn't it?
It might have been Christmas. Not sure if I did or not. Did I drink at Christmas? I probably did have an odd drink at Christmas somewhere. But anyway. Techness Corner says, hey Mike and team, how you doing? Good to see you. And Tazos the Animal says, greetings. Very, very welcome. So, oh actually, I was going to show you, I did say it, so this will be the last thing of today. So the graphics card, I picked this up locally from a deal. There's a very interesting story to this. Well, interesting for us, not probably interesting for you, but I'm going to put you through it anyway, because it's Saturday night. What else are you going to do? Our son went to school with the guy who sold me this. So, yeah, the guy was basically an old school friend of our son. And I saw this listed and it's like, oh, Zotac GeForce GTX 1070. That's a pretty cool card. And it was originally up for sale, I think, for £150, which is a little bit too much for a GTX 1070, depending on the condition. If it's in A1 condition, maybe, or if it's a specific version, such as a Mini or a Strix, that sort of thing. This is actually a Mini, so this is the tiny version of the GTX 1070. So anyway, reached out to him, said, can we do something? Sort it out. It's actually quite local. But because I felt like crap this week, I didn't really go out and do anything. Just wanted to just wade through my own depression, I suppose, and illness. So basically got my daughter to pick it up because my daughter's dental surgery is very near, so it's like an in-between. So yeah, long story short, he actually walked it down to my daughter's surgery. She picked it up, then brought it home for me. It was awesome, great deal. So yeah, old friend of the family, friend of the kids anyway, so they all knew of each other, and yeah, it was just very cool. So it's someone I actually kind of, well, trusted. I know of them. But the best thing was, the card is in basically brand spanking new condition. So the packaging looks like it's basically been put away after the very first day of installing. Look at the box is all still super glossy. And you think, the GTX 1070 came out, what, 6 years ago now? I think it's 6 years ago. I'm not sure the exact manufacturing date, but even things like the Zotac booklet, I don't think that's ever been opened. Doesn't look like it has. And it's still even got a driver CD in there, so that gives you some idea of how old this thing is. So this is basically in brand new condition. Effectively unused. Even, this is very telling of the time. So back in the day, you would get a adapter because there was very few 8-pin power supplies on the market for PCI Express. So this converts two 6-pin into a single 8-pin because those were super rare. And literally, in the UK, when these came out, the 8-pin cards, you would normally end up driving to your local Maplin electronics store, which don't exist anymore, and buying these adapters so you could put your two PCIe 6-pins to make a single 8-pin, because you probably plug in your 6-pin on its own and realise that your PC would not boot. So actually having that in the box still, which it looks like it hasn't been used, I don't think it would have been. So that is awesome. Nothing else under there, no dust or debris, so that's good. But yeah, basically appears to be brand spanking new condition. And the card itself is very, very telling of the time when it was made. So this is the GTX 1070 8GB mini edition. So you've got the normal stuff. So you've got a single DVI connector, DVI-D.
Patrick's off.
Cheers, Patrick. You've got your three display ports, one HDMI. Another telling time is your multi-way SLI bridge connections. Don't have those anymore, especially on 70 class cards, that's for sure. Your single 8-pin connector, no backplate, because this was a slightly lower end model, even though it is the OC version, it's still a little bit lower down, so you don't have the backplate on there. Copper or brass coloured heat pipes coming straight from the CPU die there. So yeah, very cool. Very reminiscent this. And the fan blades, these all seem to be absolutely fine. Quite low profile as well. But the 1070, I think for me, using a 1070 is one of those first cards that you kind of install and you use and you realise that this has actually got a little bit of power. So going from like a 580 or a 480 or a 1060 and then going to a 1070, it was always one of those things where there was that tangible, noticeable difference. Partly because of the extra RAM, partly because it's just a more powerful processor, or GPU I suppose I should say. But yeah, very cool card. Like it a lot. It's got a great look to it, and I'm always getting a collection of these. So I've got the 1070, I've also got the 1066 gig, which we got from William Bodie, which we still have, which is basically exactly the same design, give or take. I think it might have a backplate on that one, but other than that, the fans, the design, it's all from that same group of cards, like the 10 series cards. So yeah, it does look very similar. So I was very pleased to get that. In the end, I paid £120 for it. It was a friendly price. So just as a precautionary thing, even if it's because someone you know, if you're using something like PayPal, you should really always try and use goods and services just in case there's any problems, so you can get your money back should the worst happen.
Really
so
random.
cheers, really random. So I did use friends and family, I did use goods and services, but because there is a fee attached to that normally on the seller end, I paid 125. So it'll be probably about £1 or £2 will be the difference in price for the seller. So I added a couple of extra quid on there just to basically say thank you. So it was a decent price. So 125 quid for a GTX 1070, which basically looks like it's never been used. I'm very pleased with it. Lucky Man One's coming in a super chat saying, power it up, get the sausage fingers in it. I wish I could. That would be, the theory is that that is going to go with the MSI board once that is fixed or done whatever with. So what I wanted to do, because last week or the week before I did the budget priced video editing PC, that was the Intel side of things. I want to do an AMD version, but with that graphics card. So that motherboard in a micro ATX case, possibly the Thermaltake S100, because we've not taken a look at that one yet, and that looks very interesting to me. And yeah, put together a little video editing PC with a Ryzen 9 3900, I think, and 32 gigs of RAM. Nice little compact video editing system. I think that'll do really well. When I started video editing with the 1070, it was one of those kind of almost night and day experiences where video editing suddenly become a lot smoother. So yeah, hopefully that'll be the same case. So it'll be almost like a retrospective on what my video editing PC actually was back in the day, which was an AMD Ryzen 9 3900 with a GTX 1070, and that is when I started doing 4K video editing. So it'd be nice to kind of revisit that and build another system all these years later. So yeah, pretty good. I think that is going to be pretty cool. Wildlife Snapper 1 says, keep that 1070 box, it will be worth a fortune in 50 years. I would need to live that long. William Bodie says, Zotac GPUs look solid and cool. They do. They do. You're not wrong. I did actually turn down a review of a recent Zotac graphics card, the RTX 2070 Ti, because I think it's too expensive. I think graphics card prices have gone mental, and I don't really condone it. I know some people have to buy it for work purposes. I get it. Do what you need to do. Or if you've got just money and you're hemorrhaging cash and you don't know what to do with it, buy yourself a decent graphics card. Enjoy it. I think for the majority of people who actually would like to use that card for gaming, etc., they're the ones that can't afford it. So I think we need to make a change. And it's starting to happen. AMD graphics cards are tumbling in price massively. Like £150 off a couple of models already. It'd be interesting to see what happens for the lower end ones when they come out. William Bodie, let's have a look, see what that is. Ooh, triple fan, 8 grand or 8,000 euros. I'll buy 2 of them. Sorry, who was that?
Technics Corner.
Oh. By the way, how good does your
stream look, Mike?
Crisp, I mean, no effects, etc. Very clean image on my end camera. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had no idea how clear it is. The bitrate is only 4,000 kilobits, so we've got the bitrate nice and low. The camera is a Lumix S5 Mark 1, and currently it's outputting at 1080p, and it is 420, and the bitrate is probably quite high on the output. I think it's like 100 megabit output, but we're downsampling that to like 4 megabit. So it's got a lot of compression on it, but seems to be doing all right. And a lot of it, I think, is down to the graphics card. The RTX 3060 Ti in there, NVIDIA cards do a fantastic job. And also the Elgato card does a very good job because it hardware compresses H.264 and H.265. Rick H says, my next graphics card will be an Intel Arc A770, 16 gig. I really, really, really want to buy an Intel graphics card. But the idle power consumption terrifies me because it's really high. So I don't think I could use it for my daily driver because I need the stability as well. So I'm in a bit of a weird place because I don't really want to use it in the stream PC because that's got enough problems as it is. And I don't really want to use it in my main PC because I've got arguably a better graphics card in there already. And I don't want to introduce instability on my main PC. So again, yeah. So I don't know. Wildlife Snapper says central heating or GPU. Yeah, it is getting a little bit like that. Lucky Man, what is the best but cheapest 1440p 27-inch monitor? I'll be honest with you, I don't know. There's been a few offers recently on UK Hot Deals. There's a very unusual one at the moment from Curio, which we did a review of one of their cheap monitors, a 22-inch one. They've got a 27-inch 1440p 1 millisecond IPS for about 170 at the moment, I think, which seems ridiculously cheap. I was tempted to get one for Kath because she's moaning about her monitor being too big.
I think it's just too much glitter on my desk. Really.
Techness Corner says Lumix G7 on my end. I've got some work to do for myself. We used to do the stream on a G7. In fact, the G7 is there, the overhead camera at the moment. Or no, actually. No, I'll tell a lie, that's the G85, I think. That's one of them too. I can't remember. I can't even see it from here.
I think that's the old one we used to use here. Was that a G7?
No, the G7's in the box. I'm sure I packed that away to sell or trade. Yeah, G85 or G80 as it's known in other countries, overhead, and that is. But then the G7 and the G85, we have used both of them as our main camera for streams and video content for ages. So yeah, I like the G7. I like a lot. What's that? Text message. Oh, blimey. Oh, sorry, Kath's disturbed me there. We had a PayPal come in from Colin. Has done his sleuthing around and has sent us a rather large donation contribution. So, Colin, thank you so much. Totally unexpected, and you don't have to do it, but yes, we are very, very grateful. So, thank you so much, Colin. That's much appreciated.
Thanks, Colin.
See, even Kath's talking, so that's a rarity, unless the camera's off, or there's a microphone,
I can't stop.
or if there's a microphone anywhere near her, it's like. not speaking. So thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Where did I get to? David Andrew says, I'm sticking to my RX 6600 XT. I paid a premium price last year for it. They have just dropped now to £260 in the UK, it seems. Or at least in the US, so it's about to do in the UK. So they're about to... AMD have realised that Intel are taking their market share with the A750 and A770. So AMD are now fighting. So it's going to be weird. AMD are going to be fighting Intel, and Nvidia are just basically sitting where they are. So AMD's market share is being lost to Intel rather than being lost to Nvidia. It's very, very bizarre. Thank you. Yes, Colin, awesome stuff. Let's where are we? Oh, is that actually working? There we go. Bless you, sir. Right, as TechNest says there, have a great deal. I've got some tinkering to do. Best wishes, peace. Oh, and thank you for streaming, Mike. Keep it up. We do try to. So I think, yeah, that is going to be a good time for us to call it a day. We've done just over 3 hours now, so I think that's more than enough for most people, to be honest with you. And my throat is starting to get a little scratchy, so rather than put myself out of action for the next couple of days, I will call it an end. So thank you all so much for joining us on this stream. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If there's any questions regarding the Lian Li 216, I am going to do a build on it. I'm going to transfer my video editing PC into it. I'm going to give it a full run. Work out all the quirks, kinks and all that kind of stuff and have a play with it, see what it's like. So that will be a long-term review. We'll also do an unboxing video, basically a shorter version of this stream. Also, we've learned a lot from this as well, so we can go through and obviously condense that down. And yeah, hopefully if you've got any more questions, we'll work them out one way or the other. So with that said, thank you all for your super chats. Thank you all for your continued kindness and contributions in Patreon and through your YouTube membership. Like I said before, it isn't necessary. You will get the content eventually. There's normally about 2 to 3 weeks worth of content stacked up. So yeah, you will get it eventually. You don't have to pay for it. None of it is hidden behind a paywall. And I don't think it's something that we will ever do unless YouTube puts us in a certain corner that we have to. So yeah, thank you all for taking part. Please share the video with your friends, colleagues, relatives, neighbours, or use it to put kids to sleep if you want to. I don't care, as long as you share the video. Another super chat come in there from Lucky Man 1. It says, as Bob's not here, disco time. Thank you. Yes, and Bob, if you're watching this on the catch up, good day, mate. Put another shrimp on the barbie. Is that racist? I don't know. Anyway, what the hell? Who cares? Australians are cool. They'll see the funny side
I
of
have an Australian
some.
Siri because I love the accent.
They'll see some fat, baldy Bristolian making an arse of himself on YouTube and think, no, that's not racism, that's humour. Which I agree with, it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching. Now I have to do the awkward bit of trying to find the stop stream button.
With those dodgy eyes.
With my dodgy eyes and my stumpy fingers. And there's $5 from the Trojan, getting in there quickly. Bless you all. Dave Andrew says we don't call prawns shrimp or barbecue them. See, you learn something new every day on this stream. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra!